Fucking mug.
Okay, so
Mug. Muppet.
if you could throw some gems up into the sky and have a person crash land like they're Gandalf from the new Lord of the Rings series, would you? Even if it was, and bear with me here, a child, yes. Because that's basically how this rolling mechanic in Genshin is like expressed aesthetically. People descend from heaven as stars, and here's the shit that makes it that's really funny. These characters are already on Earth, you're interacting with them, but then you get a clone, and if you get more clones, they dissolve into stardust. Are you with me so far?
Watch it, it's back.
Huh?
Your voice is still going like.
That's probably because Genshin is working hard. It could also be that my network is turned to shit as I'm streaming now. Actually, I'm gonna make it even worse by streaming Genshin Impact to YouTube. There you go. Grant access, yeah, even though all that's
It's like crackly. It's like. It's like this weird like crackling.
I actually think I need to. Really?
Yeah, well, it's like as you're talking, it's like your voice is like breaking up at some points. So yeah, it's probably like your connections.
I'm gonna check my resources. I mean, 100% of my CPU is being used, and most of it is unexplained. What the fuck? Steam, you're okay. Like Steam.
Your voice just like. Ugh.
Yeah, but what about now, though, huh?
It's like you're talking, and there's just like someone like dropped a fucking glass bottle on the floor, and then you start again.
Am I stepping on the glass?
And you're like smashing it on the ground.
Oh, wait, am I the bottle in this metaphor?
Your voice is.
Oh.
So what the fuck are you on about? Like, what's not much of a question. It's like yes or no, or throwing diamonds, or is there an alternative? Or...
Yes, like if you had the chance to win a child by throwing gems into the sky and have them crash land right next to you, would you? Not even humoring the possibility, like the odds of them surviving. Just would you do that?
What happens to the kid? Do I have to look after them?
Yeah, that's almost the point. Do you feel like being a dad? Throw some diamonds in the sky.
It's like, is it my kid or is it just a kid?
It's technically just a kid, but you sort of own it now. I'm not sure about the legality of that.
So it's more like, it's like if I went to like a casino, and like the prize is a child.
Yes, that's basically what that is what I jokingly call the system. You pray for the human trafficking casino in the sky, and you have a chance to win a child. Like, and they just have this in the game. Like, am I the only one who finds this to be a little bit weird? I was like, the first time I came across this, I was just like, wait, is this normal for gacha gamers? This is a little weird.
And what do you like do with, like, can you play as the kid now in the game?
Yeah, of course, they're playable characters. But
well, the game,
I mean,
the game's fucked up anyway, so it doesn't really make a difference.
Wait, what do you mean by fucked up?
You got like stupid Paimon flying around. It's like never explained, and other dumb shit and monsters and robots.
Like, I'm actually waiting for the plot twist to either be that Paimon dies and I laugh because they think I will be sad, or she turns out to be the fucking villain because she is so unexplained and she's just there all the goddamn time. That they almost have to have a good explanation for her, but I'm not sure I should hold my breath.
Yeah.
Okay, but my voice is fine now, right?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, okay, Steam was taking half my CPU, but it, like, on the task manager, it implied that it only took like 20%. But once I killed it, I got half my CPU back. And that's a good system. Also, hi Dave, I'm assuming you're here. Wait, you're muted.
Woo. I mean,
And that's what I call contribution.
let's just see what we're talking about before he decides to join in.
What we're talking about is the fact that now that I'm in the game, I am going to start rolling in the hopes of winning a child of my own. Am I ready to be a dad? That is the question. I was like, here's the thing that I find fascinating about this game and this aspect. If you look for videos on Genshin, people just doing this and rolling repeatedly is what most people watch. So like,
Fuck.
most, like, yeah, like most...
Casino streams.
Yes, exactly. So
Weird.
how moral is this shit? Like, and not to mention, like, all the... How do I put this? When I go online and I look for, like, information on this game because I want to know, like, what sort of abilities the next character's gonna have so I don't fucking waste my money on bullshit. Well, I say waste my money, waste my Primo gems. I don't pay for this fucking game anymore. Like, in the comment section, or, like, whatever you want to call it, it seems like most people playing this game are kids just based on how they talk. Isn't this a little weird?
It's a kid's game, isn't it? It's a kid's game, isn't it?
It's like, aesthetically, yes, but why the fuck would you put this gambling mechanic in a game for kids?
And they all do it. It's like loot boxes.
Yes,
What every fucking
and there's
game
like there's pushback against that shit, isn't there? And I'm wondering, how hard? What is your perspective on this shit? Because, okay, like, loot boxes didn't really bother me because it didn't, like, affect me personally, but I remember the mentality back in the day being that, oh, so long as it's, like, it's skins and it doesn't affect the gameplay, it's fine. But then you see that it's like, no. It isn't fine because people still have the same attitude towards it as they would actual gambling, which is that they see something they want and they place a value on it where they're willing to spend an unreasonable amount of money that does damage their lives to a significant degree. So now we're going to market it in games like this for children. How much sense does that make? Like, should it, like, not to mention, like, look at this fucking aesthetic. Look at this shit. That is a toddler.
It depends on what, like, because you have. Think of like what the act of gambling. So it's not so much like what they win or anything like, because it's all kind of makes the same. Like people put value on
that's
anything.
part of the problem. It doesn't actually matter like what it is they can win, because you still have the same sort of gambling mentality around it. Like you still have the same like pitfalls and loopholes where it will affect the gambling addict. That's like sort of the problem.
If there's like no microtransactions and there's no like game breaking benefits from the gambling, so say it's just like cosmetics or whatever, right? So it doesn't actually financially affect anything, right?
What do you mean?
So what? As in, well, I'm like setting up a context.
Like when you say financially affect something, do you mean the company or the people? Because it will still affect the people. Is sort of my point.
No, but I mean, there's no financial way. There's no like money in or out of the gambling mechanic.
I don't know, like there doesn't have to be money out. Like
No,
that's what I mean.
setting up a context. I'm explaining. Let me finish.
Okay, just for the context that you're establishing, I'm just supposed to give
like,
this. Okay.
So it's just the act of a gambling game. Like, should children play any type of like gambling at all? And like how, like what you define as gambling? It's like
that's like part of the problem, because like managing chance is actually something that I think is a really good ability to have. But should you allow a kid to play poker?
But then it's like it's like a game. But what if there's no risk or like chance of losing anything? Like, is it still gambling? Like, if you just
Yeah. What do you mean? I mean, okay, it's like definitely it's definitely a problem once money can go into the system.
I think okay.
Because if there's no money going into the system, the only thing you can waste is your time, and then you at least have time to like deal with the problem and like set them up with a psychologist and all this shit. But if you allow money to go into the system, like the kid can bleed the parents' credit card dry, go into debt, and like have massive issues before like the issue is even discovered.
Then what if it's two? If you compare systems, so say you have a game, right? Like just say like Fortnite or whatever.
I've never had a game.
Yeah, game shit. So say you
Don't
like,
judge me. I'm not a gamer.
You have two systems, right? So like, so say in Fortnite, say in one way it's like after completing so many games, you get a loot box, right? So every like 5 games you get a loot box. Okay.
Wow, it sounded perfectly. Shit! I got the worst character. Sorry, go on.
And then so in that game, okay. So there's two versions of Fortnite. So one version would be after every 5 games you get a loot box. Okay. You don't know what's in it, but you get one. The other version is every game you earn coins, and then you can use coins to buy loot boxes or like buy cosmetics. But the loot boxes are like a lot cheaper than the cosmetics, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then, are they both gambling? Is one worse than the other?
Honestly, how to put this?
But then what about games like Monopoly?
In some ways, the one where you're paying for the loot boxes is actually worse, because I'm assuming like how you pay for it isn't directly with money; it's with fun bucks, which then creates like this separation layer where you don't treat it as money anymore. Therefore, the loot boxes don't seem as big of an issue as they are. Like if you can only earn loot boxes and you can't actually buy them, then like the level of investment might not be there to cause as big of a problem. Like even emotionally speaking, not monetarily.
But then like games with chance in them, do they count as gambling? Like Monopoly, right? Because you roll a dice.
Yeah, right. That's what I mean. Like,
does that count as gambling?
Probably not, because it's randomness, but not all randomness would be taken as gambling. I'm assuming you're like moving around the board and you're making the decision to buy things and not buy things. So like because of the level of decision making outside of just the random aspects, I'm not sure how random something has to be considered gambling.
Is poker gambling? Because you're making decisions, aren't you?
Yeah, it's like that's where shit gets confusing to me, because to me that seems so random that I would qualify it as gambling. But like people who are professionals see a level of strategy involved that I'm not sure if it's even applicable to like the layperson who would get addicted to that is part of the problem. So like,
because it seems like the main issue is like you're creating or sort of developing certain mentalities in children.
Sorry, just give me a second. I actually want to hear Dave's opinion on this too. I want to know what the hell he's muted. Isaac, right-click him and unmute him.
I don't think that's how that works.
Because we all have an opinion on video games, so I thought we might as well get everyone's opinion on this. Okay, go on.
Well, it's like, what mentalities are you? It's more like, so say me, right? If I play a game now that's got like gambling or loot boxes and in it, it's like, it doesn't affect me in the same, like it doesn't turn me into an addict, or like it doesn't start me down a path. Well, I've never like spent money on loot boxes or like coins or anything like that. So
I mean, I have, because I already played League of Legends with my friends and Ungodly Amount, and I thought, you know what? I actually like this game. You know, controversial opinion, by the way, but I do like League of Legends.
But that's not gambling, though, is it? Because you just bought skin.
Oh yeah, like when I spent money on it, you didn't even have the concept of loot boxes in that game. Yet,
so it's more like, because it's like the idea of like gambling. If you're an adult and you choose to gamble, it's like your own responsibility, right? It's like,
honestly, no, okay, no. Like, I actually find that way of thinking to be problematic. Like, part of the problem is you don't want children to be exposed to some of these elements is because they're not capable of making reasonable decisions. That's why you don't let them do shit like that. Like, if you let a child decide certain things, like they would just like eat candy every day and do stupid shit and like ruin their lives like almost overnight, right? No, you're just with me so far, right?
Yeah.
And part of the problem is that when it comes to this aspect of gambling addiction, that doesn't just go away because you become an adult. Like that's just like intrinsic. Like as far as I know, there's no way around that. So they shouldn't. There's people who shouldn't be exposed to this at all. And
how do you even determine who?
And that's part of the problem. But that's why I find the presence of gambling in society at all to just like. Okay, like America is very freedom oriented, but they always get really how to put this? Basically confused about like how free you actually are in certain contexts. They don't understand how power dynamics changes the sort of freedom that people have. So we like to think that people are free when they just have all the options in front of them, and we just expect them to be perfectly reasonable, salient, sapient human beings capable of making the rational decision at every turn. But I mean, people aren't. And when you put certain options in front of them, they're going to be extremely limited simply because of what sort of aspects they're vulnerable to. It means they have to avoid certain spaces and like have an awareness about like games like this, where it's just like, okay, it seems like this would be a lot of fun, but I need to like just avoid it. I mean, like people might actually just have to like get off of Twitter and no longer go on Twitter just so they aren't exposed to temptation. That limits people's freedoms as a result of that, because nobody's willing to, or part of the freedoms that we're supposed to be willing to trade is freedom for safety. That's why we're like, it's not legal to stab people. You could have that freedom in society, but you know, we've sort of agreed that that's sort of a bad thing. But it seems like people are only capable of thinking of total universals. Those should be law. But as soon as you get like more specific, where like there are vulnerable groups in society, people no longer like applying laws or like trying to actually cater to those people a lot of the time. Like not until it goes horribly bad. Like people are always reactive instead of proactive, and it's sort of sad.
But then it's because you don't have ways of like determining like who the vulnerable group is. Like idiots get into gambling more than clever people. So it's like how do you so like
how do you determine who are idiots? Is that the question here?
And then
basically?
like do you like any way in which you determine who isn't
I'm not even sure that's true. Like you have incredibly successful gambling addicts. How to put this?
That's what I mean. Like, it's like the criteria to determine who is vulnerable to like gambling. It's like, I mean, okay. How do you even
because
do
that can be interpreted in sort of different ways. One is that shit, I just had a brain fart. Could you repeat that? How do you determine who is vulnerable to be a gambling addict?
What systems, like with
Oh yeah, like who is vulnerable to gambling addiction? Like you can interpret that in two different ways, which is that technically, if you're poor, you're more vulnerable simply because the consequences are larger.
hmm,
So like, if if two people have the same degree of a gambling addiction, but one of them rich is one of them poor, obviously one of those is going to struggle more than the other.
hmm.
Um. So like, huh? I wonder if things would be better if you actually put like just an income limit. Like you had to have a certain level of income before you're allowed to even attempt gambling. Just like if you don't have a social safety net, like you're gonna become a burden on other people. Like technically shouldn't allow that. Like that's another thing about freedom that I find kind of funny. No man is an island and all that, which means that if somebody goes through something and it fucks up their life, it's not going to just affect them. This can affect society at large because nobody's willing to just like let people like die in the street if there's something they can do to help them, especially if it's somebody they have a close connection to.
But then
So
it's like
mm,
you have to set up. For example, with gambling, it's like every place to gamble, you have to. It's like gun licenses, right? So you have like a gamble license, and then the amount you're allowed to gamble is 10% of your yearly income. Like, so then you have a limit. Everyone has a limit, or yeah, something like that. So it's like, but then
but even then, the people like are fully capable of fucking up their lives. You know, even with limitations like that. So like you say like 10% of the yearly income. Okay, like let's say that is the case. What if they've spent like 90% on like either shit they need or even shit they don't need? All they have is the 10%. Like as soon as they spend that gambling money and they lose all of it because they did something stupid, like they're immediately at either zero or in debt, depending on how generous you want to be with the ratios.
you can't. Like either you have a system that can manage this, or you
Not to
just let people
mention,
do
how
their own
sure are
decision.
we that nobody can get around this system and just make shit worse? Like if they
Well,
have addiction.
but then that's the thing. It's like that's why there's no systems in place to manage it, because no one can think of a good system to manage it. So they just let people do their own things. Like fuck up if you want to fuck
Do
up.
you feel like you have a good system? Could you think
No.
of anything or like at least a theoretical basis? Nothing.
Maybe some kind of like delayed pot system. Like
Okay.
the money
Oh
you can
my
gamble this year.
god! I got the Goddler!
Like the money you gamble this year
Mm-hmm.
is money you saved into your gambling pot last year.
Wait, what you won this year? Last year?
So say
I
you
can
want to
follow.
gamble this year,
Mm-hmm.
right? You can only use money that you put into your gambling bank account last year.
Okay.
So it's like it means that like
I think you should start with a purpose so I can follow more easily.
so
Like, what
like
is this supposed to remedy?
the issue of like losing money and not having the money, and like you're wasting your rent money on gambling and like da 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 da.
Mhm.
Like the issue is because it's like you need the money, or like the money you're supposed to be living off or paying for things.
Is mixed in with the
You're
gambling
spending
money.
it on gambling, right? But
Yeah.
then if you're gambling with money that you were able to save in the previous year, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can still access it for other reasons, but it's like it shows that it doesn't affect like what you're living off this year. So it's like
I
you
mean, you'd
can't.
hope that people would make that distinction already. I mean, I guess if you can enforce that they can't actually. Like, you basically have a gambling credit card as well, where
Yeah.
you're not able to pay from other bank accounts and shit like that. Then I guess that
Yeah.
would be one way of
Because
doing
it's
it.
like
Yeah.
the issue of you were saying is like, okay, so you got like 10, you can only use 10% of your yearly income or whatever. So then it's
Mhm.
like, what if they've already spent? So like, because it's almost like you're investing in like your future gambling, right? It's like
Mhm.
the money you've saved to do it is like money you have extra to do it, and it's like you can't sort of get out of hand with anything because you're sort of you have to have a system in place to be able to gamble. It's like you can't just take the money you've earned today, like get your paycheck and go throw it all away, right?
Mhm.
Because the system only lets you use money, like, and you've shown your capability of saving and having the money. So people that like wanted to get, like, say they were addicts, right, and they earned money in a year and like they kept spending it all on gambling, but then this year, because they spent all their money, they can't do any gambling now, and so it's like
Mm.
they have to like get their life. If they want to do more gambling, they have to get their life in order and save money. And you know what I mean?
Oh wait, so instead of it being based on income, it's based on the net money they actually have by the end of the year or some shit like that.
Yeah, it's like you literally have a savings account. It's like almost like a trust fund. Like you can't
Mm.
access it until the next year.
Okay.
Well, you can. It's like you can take, you can put money in and out, right? But you can put as much money in and out as you want. But
Yeah.
you only gambling is you're only allowed to use that account to pay for gambling.
As like, it's kind of funny. Like, I follow you. It makes sense, but this seems like it feels like it's deceptively simple. Like, it can't possibly be that easy. Is basically what it feels like. But it's. I don't think anything like this has actually been tried though. But oh
So
well,
I'm a
like
genius.
probably because people don't like other people fucking with the distribution of wealth. That tends to be a very sensitive topic.
But then you could balance it out with almost like a um, it becomes like a like you know how governments have special like tax-free savings accounts
Wait, who
and
has?
like governments, the things called like
Do they
ISAs.
tax fees?
So like
Um,
you don't pay, like they give you additional interest on it because you're like saving.
I, don't, I thought it was up to the banks, not the government. But I guess the government does provide shit like
Well,
that too
like
in certain
governments
places. Yeah,
insure them or like give the banks the extra money and
yeah,
stuff.
like we have some. What would you call them? Projects? I don't know,
Or it's
like
like
that.
the
To like
casinos
promote
or
saving or just responsible spending and shit like that.
it's like
There's like special accounts given here, like for youth, so that they get used to investing and so that they can save up for a house or something
oh.
like important is like supposed to be the idea.
But you could also earn interest on the money you've saved in your like gambling account. Or like, you know what I mean? So then it's almost like banks can use it the same as a normal savings account. Or casinos can sort of, you can have it directly saved with the casinos or something, I don't know. Probably not good like that, but the
Yeah,
only,
I don't think I want to use a casino as a bank account.
like the only issue you have with a system like that is like, like people just
There's
gambling.
also conflict of interest there, where it's like, oh, you get special credit by coming to our casino specifically.
Yeah. But then the only issue you would have is like it's like gambling outside the system. Because the idea is if you don't have any money in your gambling account, you can't gamble, right? And
Mm-hmm.
there's also the time limit of like you can only spend this year's money that you saved from the previous year. And so if there was just people in the street, like you're in an alleyway and you're just like throwing dice or whatever, playing cards or some shit like in the back alley.
I'm sorry. When the fuck was the last time? That is some Witcher shit. When the fuck did you see somebody fucking roll dice in an alley?
That would just like come up again because people are like, I want to gamble now, but I can't because it's all blocked off. So then they'll just do it outside the system.
Like
right?
if I can, this got pointed out with the recent Twitch drama. Why the fuck is sports gambling like so just broadly accepted? It's fucking gambling, like
yeah.
Like you're guessing at shit, and people are giving you money. Like how the fuck is that like some of it is socially filtered?
It's almost like you have kind of. Well, there's like risk or like chance. So you got two teams, right? So say one team's arguably better than the other. So it's like.
Yeah, but that's the point. Like arguably, it's.
It's still chance, isn't it? It's still like game of chance.
Yes.
It's just, but also it's kind of.
It's like you can't control these players.
No.
You can't even control your perception. You can't control what people tell you, but the people themselves can control what they tell you. So it's like there's so much shit there. Where it's it's not just the gambling, like the how you even gauge if somebody is giving you accurate odds and shit like that. It seems almost shadier than like some of the more direct gambling because of that shit. Because people can give you like. It's so easy to be a con man in that environment because it's so easy to be confident and give you wrong numbers. And it's like, well, you can't disprove anything. I thought that these were the odds. What the fuck are you gonna say? There's nothing you can't say. You either accept the odds that are given to you or you don't. It's like, to me, that's really fucky.
Yeah.
Do you know people who do like sports gambling? Because I
don't know anymore. Well,
like I only remember like. Seeing somebody buy those paper slips like once in my life. I can't even remember who it was. I just remember shopping with them when I was young. I was like, yeah, hang on a second, I'm gonna buy these. And I don't think it even was for them. So like there's so few people I know who even do this. But I also don't hang around people who do much sport related shit anyway, so
no.
Is it actually within the sports community, or do you think like there's a sort of a gambling community and just like happens to revolve around sports? Like I'm sure like how much one or the other there is.
Like sports and gambling is probably pretty close, where it's like if you're into the sport, you might get into the gambling, and then if you're into gambling, you might just get into any gambling.
This fantasy football shit. How much actual gambling is involved there? Because I thought that it was just like, and I don't know how to phrase this.
I have no idea what fantasy football is.
You just like built your teams and it's all shits and giggles and there wasn't any money involved. But I've heard about people spending money on this, and I'm wondering how integrated it is. Because if you like host this fantasy football shit, why wouldn't you want to have a cut?
It's like I don't get. It's like some kind of system of making your own teams or something, and I have no idea what the thing is. It's like the performance of the players in the season affects your team itself. You're like being made of all these random players.
It affects your odds and shit, right? But then it like goes back to sports betting. Like that's still very gambly. It's just people tell you what the odds are, and you just have to accept them.
Yeah, but I think it's more like it can be played without gambling. It's like you can just have a winner or a loser. So it's like your team can just be the best by the end. But then I don't know. But I think in some systems, there's like you can buy players back. Or something.
When it's that level of random and just like balancing odds, I guess. Like, how much does it simulate gambling to the point that it might still be a problem even if there isn't money directly involved? I think we sort of asked that question earlier, and I don't know where the line is. I feel like I should have like stronger opinions on this shit and just like try and establish where I think the line is. I think I actually think fantasy football is a problem. It's like it's too closely related in my eyes.
I just don't understand how it actually works.
Where like even if you don't put the money on it, like the temptation is like right there. It's too closely related. So you might like at one point you might just be like you're in an argument with friends, and they just go, it's like, no, my team will definitely win. It's like, okay, fuck it, put money on it. It's like, you know what, maybe I will. And it's like, then you have the foot in your door, and like I know how that some of that shit can escalate. Like if you turn that shit into a habit, it's harder to break than to start.
You can technically turn anything into gambling. It's like if you can bet on any, like fucking League of Legends.
Yeah, but like I said, like it's too closely related. Like it already has like this guesswork gambling aspect. Like if you bet money, like you're not gonna end up in the same sort of situation. Like maybe you bet money, like I think I can beat you. It's like, okay, let's go and fight each other. But then it's actually at least skill based. Like you're trying to beat each other. Like there's going to be luck involved. There's shit that you can't control, but there's way more in your control than outside your control, as opposed to some of these other games. So like, don't you feel like that's a pretty clear line? Do you have a line somewhere else?
For me, it's like for me, it's always like the issue of wasting money or people spending money they don't have. So it's like, so it's that
basically.
Kind of,
I mean,
But then, because if it's gambling is like entertainment, then it's the same as if I just like play a fucking video game for like 2 hours.
My perspective of this is like sort of harsh and skewed. I think you should be concerned about how people spend their time, even if money isn't involved, because people can spend their time like doing literally anything. If you're trying to like look at a society and you're trying to optimize how it functions, ideally people spend their free time doing productive shit like taking care of their family or contributing to society or like the community locally. It's just like, generally speaking, in today's societies, that's like less demanding, so we don't pay for that usually, but society benefits from that, and like that's what I'm more concerned about. Whether or not like money flows around isn't that important. Like you can have a gambling addict in like a society where there's no money, and it still is a problem because that's what they spend all their time doing.
But that becomes the same as like
that will still be considered a disorder. Like disorders like have specific criteria, which is mostly that it negatively affects their health, social lives, or ability to work. And the work part has mostly to do with like the flow of money, but you can still affect those other parts, and it will be considered disorder.
Yeah, like looking after themselves.
Yeah, or people that rely on them, for that matter.
So then it's more about obsessive people, and not so much about people that are prone to gambling. It's about people that get like sucked into stuff. Like if you're sucked into like
gaming addictions too, and those can also be really destructive. It's just that because of how society sort of revolves on people having money, like if people misuse their money, it's such a massive problem that you're almost forced to intervene. Otherwise, they're pretty measurably just straight up destroying their lives.
Because I think gambling is like,
it's like gambling addictions are like almost as destructive. Actually, depending on the degree, they're even more destructive than some drug addictions. Sorry, I was expecting you to finish your thought.
Like, if you're addicted to something, it's like being addicted to like drugs is like negatively affects your physical like
Health,
health, right?
obviously.
All
Yeah.
this stuff. But then so like gambling addiction, because like gambling where you're spending your money, because it's like the aspect of what you're addicted to is like even worse for you. Because like, if you're addicted to reading books, right? It's like you're
Oh
not addicted,
no!
but then it's
Yeah.
like comparing that to gambling, where it's like the method of doing the gambling, the activity
Yeah.
itself requires money,
Hmm.
not just like time or access to things. So like drugs and that, like being addicted to food
Yeah.
and getting fat is not as bad as like being addicted to like
Yeah.
meth.
But like, there are people who have like, for example, like collection addictions, and they can't stop like
Like
buying
what is?
figurines or random shit.
Yeah. So it's more like
So
the
like,
kind of
there's sort of like a disconnect between the dopamine they get from adding to their collection versus the detriment of just depleting their bank account, and it seems like the detriment like never sinks in. Like, it's not even necessarily that they get like that much of a dopamine hit. Sometimes it's just like um the consequences of the numbers on the bank account hitting zero is just something that has never like turned into a reality for them. And I sort of
yeah.
understand that. Like, people can make up like horror stories like, oh, once the number goes down, you're going to die. It's like, that doesn't seem realistic. Just keep going.
Yeah.
Or like, nah, society will probably still take care of me even if I no longer have any money. Like, I think
'Cause
it's
then
easy for people to have a blasé attitude if, like, they don't
then
have an emotional connection to that outcome.
it's like, 'cause yeah, one aspect is like is being obsessive, and then one aspect is like the activity you're doing, right? So it's like people that gamble but then are also obsessive with it, and like the ones that are badly off, right? And then like if I gamble like once a year for fun,
Mm-hmm.
it's like I'm not negatively impacted by it, right? So,
Or so you say.
so it's like at Christmas, my parents buy scratch cards.
Oh yeah, that seems to be a tradition.
So it's like that's gambling, but then
Mm-hmm.
it's like it's like a £1 a ticket, and you get like what 10 tickets. So it's like fucking inconsequential, right?
Sure.
But then if it's like you did that every day, £10 a day, right? It's like
Yeah.
£300 a month. So in the kind of excessiveness of it and the amount of it,
Like, to
but
me,
then
we basically reach a point where the better question is like, why do you even want to allow that?
yeah, it's like what is the benefit of gambling? Like
Yeah.
it is entertainment technically, like,
Yeah.
but then
I
it's
think
like
the
reward
the
risk.
justification most people would give is that you shouldn't be able to get to decide what another person values. But
Mm.
when you know the risks, like, of course you have to answer that question. Like, not everything has like a risk associated with them, but the second there are like clear detriments,
Yeah,
of course you need to look at the upside.
but you know, like, do you not find any the idea of gambling of like you can win loads of money
I don't
as an
consider that
upside?
an upside. Like, gambling like is a zero-sum game. Like, it doesn't contribute anything to society. It's just money being moved around.
Yeah,
That isn't
there's no like
beneficial. Like, there's
additional
no
offshoot.
tangible assets there.
No, it's not
Like,
like
nothing's being produced.
no. It's not, well, you could say that, but you could say entertainment for the people playing the games.
I'm not even sure how highly I value entertainment. Like, obviously, I fucking surround myself with it and I love it. But like, trying to look at it objectively, like, again, people can spend their time doing anything. like, if I could, like, shouldn't I? Well, technically, I'm here in a conversation with you, so I'm like at least making a connection with you. But isn't that like what we should be doing? Like trying to at least talk to each other, if not try to make each other's lives better if possible. Like to me, entertainment is like a last resort. It's like distracting people when they're out of options.
Well,
And even then, like you can have like some forms of things that are supposed to be entertainment, but they can bring up topics or explore ideas that are actually beneficial to people. Some forms of entertainment do that, and they end up being cathartic. They actually help people like work through their troubles. Like this is the sort of shit that like I've talked to you about this. How, for example, you have children's TV shows that like help children deal with like different situations, like how to manage your emotions, or like how to make friends, or what to say in certain situations. Like it teaches them, and it's sort of funny to me that that sort of thing disappears as people get older. I think it's because people view it as patronizing. But the thing is, unless it's like TV shows for the youngest kids, you have to be smart about like how you make these shows, because kids don't like being talked down to either. Like if they feel like you're treating them as stupid, they don't want to listen to what you have to say. And it's like that's also applicable to adults, but after a certain point it's just like, you got everything solved. It's all like fucking superheroes shooting laser eyes at each other's from now on.
then, well, ideally, wouldn't entertainment be like almost like a social lubricant? It like helps.
Yeah, I like that. Like
with the bit, like so it's how well it does that. If you're like in your room on your own gambling, it like does nothing. But if you're like at a casino having fun, right, it's like an activity to do with people. So it's like how much.
Yeah, but don't we have other forms of social lubricant that doesn't involve these negative, like massive downsides?
But then the kind of randomness and the
like I remember like enjoying playing billiards with you guys.
Billiards.
Yeah, or snooker. Like I don't know what you call it. Yeah, billiards I think is like the general. But then you also have like what do you call them? Like 9-ball. I think
it's like saying ball games and then like football, rugby.
Yeah. So like billiard is the genre involving those tables.
Yeah. But then it's like like doing certain activity where it's like completely random has like something that's like gambling is completely random most of the time, right? Yeah. So it's like that in itself is fun, like the complete randomness. So it's like you can't really get that.
Isaac, look at our fucking humor. Like it might as well be randomly generated.
Yeah, but it's you know.
Yeah.
It just depends on.
So like, it's not that I don't see the value of randomness. Like, I think I've said the same thing to you. I remember saying this to Ben at least, where I think there is, like, for comedy, surprise like is a necessary element, but there's also just like something inherently appealing to surprise by itself, like sometimes even when it's negative. Like just the fact that something was surprising is appealing to me, and I think it's appealing to other people too. And what isn't gambling if not the fluctuation of pleasant and unpleasant surprises?
Yeah. Yeah, I think if it's more about the original question, is like kids. Like you can't go into a casino unless you're 18, right? I
I think so.
in most places. So it's like they know
Great, a
it's like
shitty
bad,
character.
right? But then they let it happen in video games. So it's like the mentality of doing it is the same. It's just you're
Here
not
we can
using
bring
real
the
money.
casino to you, Isaac.
Yeah. Well, it's more of like protecting people from sort of getting into like. I feel like gambling in video games is like I don't like it. I don't think it should be there. And
Yeah,
it's
but you
just a
still have
way
a
for
lot
them
of
to.
randomness. So, like, have you drawn a clear line? Like, I told you where, like, I sort of draw the line, or like, I'm willing to accept a shitload of randomness, but if it gets too close to making the transition of ruining your life by throwing money at it, or that it simulates something too close, I no longer want it. So, like, games that simulate slot machines and shit like that, I just wouldn't want that.
Yeah. But okay, for example, what do you think about Heroes of the Storm? Like loot boxes, just like you level up and you get a loot box.
You can spend money on that, so it immediately is a problem.
Okay, so,
Like if you just if you just want those fucking skins, and it's like, yeah, okay, sure, I can buy them directly, but I know that the loot boxes are handling more efficient. So why wouldn't I just like keep rolling the dice?
it's okay. Say it was like you couldn't buy them. The only way of getting loot boxes is leveling up. So every time you level, you get a loot box.
So like the argument almost becomes a parallel to like you can also like just earn money, but you're here rolling the dice to get money. It's like just buying the skin clearly isn't like a deterring option, is how I see it. Anyway, you were saying.
Do you still find because say Here's the Storm and like you could only earn loot boxes from leveling up. There's no money and there's no buying anything, right? You can't buy anything in here. There's no like real world money in Heroes of the Storm. Like
If you're
imagine
not
you
spending
just buy
any
the
money, you
game.
just have loot boxes.
Yeah, like it's just loot boxes. Loot boxes every time you level up. Like because you open the loot box and you don't know what you're getting. Is that still gambling, or is that just like random prizes? Because you still have to level up to get the prize.
It's like at that point we're approaching Kinder Egg territory or Happy Meals.
Yeah. So you don't find a problem with that.
Or fucking just receiving a present for that matter. Like the OG loot box, Christmas presents. You don't know what you're gonna get.
So okay, so say Here's the Storm. Say every time you level up, you can either get like 100 coins or a loot box, and then the coins you can use to buy the skins you want after you've like. So say, but each skin is like 10,000 coins.
Like actually, like that sort of. How to put this? You. Actually, this might be manipulative now that I think about it, but I like having this sort of mitigation system against randomness. So every time you open a loot box, you're guaranteed to get like 100 dust or fun bucks or whatever the fuck you want to call it, as well as whatever random prizes that you find in the box, and then you can spend those things that you actually earn at a regular basis to buy the things that you really want instead of being forced into this random cycle. But shit, like in terms of time investment and shit like that, you can still have like this negative feedback loop where instead of spending money, people spend time. So I still think that can negatively affect children. So I don't know how. I have no idea where the line goes there, honestly.
Then it's more that it's affecting children, isn't it? It's like you just don't want. Like the reason why they make.
Wait, actually, give me a second to think about that. Do you actually? I'm not even sure I care that much about it affecting like. I haven't like I haven't read enough studies on this to know if being exposed to it while you're young increases the odds of you becoming addicted to it. It could be that it's just like you can catch it, or you can catch the fact that you have this vulnerability while you're young. But like, I'd still be concerned about adults. Like, okay, let's say a 20-year-old discovers Heroes of the Storm, and then like has a rude awakening that they've played this game for like 120 hours a week, just trying to get these fucking loot boxes and skins, and they just keep rolling for it. Is that somehow better because they're 20 as opposed to 10? Like, if it's guaranteed to like affect their entire future from that point, like technically, okay, the kid has more life in front of them to fuck up, but I don't know.
Then you probably get similar things of, you know, where you like people have like legal protections against like pyramid schemes.
Yeah, for example, like
so it's like the same logic of like predatory business practices.
Yeah.
So that's what gambling is, just that basically.
Yeah, that's what.
And this is like 50-50 chance.
Yeah, because it's taking advantage of people's vulnerabilities. Like that's basically what the industries are built on. That's what I'm doing right now is built on. Like, I'm not spending money on this, but they are raking in money. Where the fuck is that coming from?
Yeah, the people that, you know, think it's worth something.
Yeah, I was like, I think I told you this. Like, I feel like they've done sort of impressive work. Like, this whole area came out in one batch, and like the month after, all of this came out, and then like now this month, nothing has come out. But there's a chance that next month, an almost equally large area will be released. And it's like, that is a shitload of content per month.
Yep.
So at least they're reinvesting it, but
it's like really like, it's like, is the enjoyment of the game the primary thing, or is it like they're just using the game as a part of the predatory tactic to get people to buy shit?
It's almost like it's primarily predatory practices, and then all of this map is there to give you a context around in which to want to gamble for the characters. Because like, I think I told you this. Like, okay, this fucking gambling system plus this world makes no fucking sense. There's nothing holding these things together. These are completely separate ideas.
Yep.
And like, and not just that, like the characters that you get, there isn't even like combat challenges that necessitate you having them to be stronger. So you think that like it gives you less pressure to buy the characters? But I think that actually it has like an inverse effect, and I can't quite explain why. Like, I think the coercive effect actually makes people less likely to spend their money. Whereas if it's just like a comfortable game that you spend time on, the fact that you're spending so much time on it is what causes people to do it, I think. Like, that's basically why you have games that are so focused on people spending time on the game as well as money. Because if you keep coming back to it, like, how to put this? There's like a chance per second, technically, that you're going to spend money. So if they just increase the amount of seconds you spend on the game, they increase the amount of money you're likely to spend on the game. And I think that by making parts of the game challenging, if like you have a bad day or bad moment, or you just reach a point where you're frustrated by the challenge instead, that actually makes you less likely to spend more time and money on the game. So by making it really relaxed, I think they're actually making more money because of that. And that's how it seems like most gacha games are structured, as little experience as I have with them. That seems to be the sort of tone and vibe they go for. As opposed to shit like World of Tanks, where the last thing I remember hearing about that game is that you could spend, what was it called, like premium currency to buy like one-time use ammo that like golden bullet that would be like guaranteed kills if you shot people, where like you have a clear gameplay advantage, and that's how they try to pressure people. And as a result, I think that ends up being too controversial, so you end up with a lot of people leaving because of shit like that.
Yeah.
But we've talked about what the fuck are they called again? Battle something. Help me, Isaac.
Battle Wives?
No.
Battle Pass?
Battle passes. Like, they're so elegantly and cynically built to like coerce money and time out of people. It's like it's almost set up like a fucking diagram to squeeze money out of you. Sorry, let me just whip up this version. Like, look at this. So here you obviously have two tracks, right? To get the top track, you need to spend money. And to get the top track, you need to spend time. So you just unlock shit over time. But then you get this track underneath, and they're like very clearly like set in parallel lines, so they're grouped together. This is so that they create the feeling of loss aversion. Like, you've already spent all this time, so you might as well spend the money so you don't lose out on the thing that you basically already earned with your time, right?
Yeah.
But then it also works the other way around, where like you've only played it for like 2 days, and then you like spend money to unlock this shit, and it's like, I've already spent money, so I'm basically losing money if I don't spend the fucking time unlocking all these, right? It's like you have to do both. You have to do both to avoid the loss aversion. It's so fucking sadistic. It's like chef's kiss demonic. It's fucking mind blowing. And yet I'm just sitting and I was like, I don't feel that affected. I probably am.
But then it's like, but then because like Genshin Impact is free, isn't it?
Yep.
So it's like.
But like I said, you have to spend money to unlock this bottom track.
Yeah, I know, but it's like that's what I mean. Like the whole game itself is completely free. So it's like.
Yeah. And yet these free games make so much goddamn money that most games are trying to make free-to-play games. Kind of weird how that works, huh?
It's like, it's because when they can get people that are
vulnerable
susceptible to it,
yeah.
then they spend loads.
Yeah.
Or it's like across time instead of buying one game.
Yeah. They spend all their money on one game.
Yeah. But you still like World of Warcraft and do both.
Like
buy mounts and then also buy a subscription.
Oh, here's a good way to squeeze money out of people, by the way. This character is seen as like a cornerstone character where like so many teams are built around him because of how strong he is. And this final constellation, as they call them, like it's an unlock. Can many people consider this just straight up fucking up your account, because a lot of the dynamics that he used to have will no longer work. So there are people who like fucking play on 2 accounts just because they accidentally activated this constellation. And like, you know how fucking easy this is to fix? You just put a button right here that says toggle and you're done. Have they implemented that? Fuck no. They know they make money out of this shit.
Yeah.
Holy shit. And you're about to see something really funny. I actually want that constellation, so I'm about to ruin my account. Oh no, there we go. So there goes basically 50% of optimal team comps. What a great idea. And holy shit, did I only unlock constellations for him? No, I did here as well. So yeah, isn't how many people do you think empathize with people with gambling addiction? Oh my god. How much are you willing to bet that casinos and gambling sites have like lobbied to stigmatize the addiction as opposed to their own practices? America is an insane place.
It's like gambling isn't the problem, it's just addiction is the problem.
Yeah, it's like, no, that's a you problem, sweetie. It's like, you're
It's like
intentionally
addictive
billing her.
personality.
Yeah. It's like,
It's like,
you're taking advantage of this pretty obviously.
yeah. Yeah, there's not really any.
What can you do?
But then you know how they do things where like, so in the UK, you know, the national lottery.
Sure. Where we go
We have a
with
national
that?
lottery. So the money they make, or like a percentage of the money they make from the national lottery is like goes to funding stuff like museums and organizations and buildings and like stuff for the communities and stuff. So it's like
Okay, but is this basically like a reputation tax? Or is it
kind of,
actually
like that's the thing. I'm not
significant?
sure how exactly like much of a percentage of it. It's like okay. They said 95% of all sales revenue goes to winners and back to society.
What do you say? 95%?
It's like, yeah, it's like so it goes back into the country or something, or the winners of the money.
Yeah, I'm supposed to fucking believe
But
that.
then it's like then you get that other step of like they fund building something, and then the people that get the contracts for building it are people that are on the board of the lottery, for example.
Wait,
So it's like
repeat
almost
that?
like
I didn't follow. What?
so you know where like say you're a charity,
Sure.
and your charity helps like build houses for people, right? And like the contracts that the charity pays to the people building the houses. So the people that build the houses get money from the charity to build the houses, right?
Okay. Yeah.
But so the people building the houses might be on the board of directors of the charity, so the money's just going straight to them. I know about that
Well,
sort of
at least
tactic.
it's efficient.
That's where it's like charities and organizations like this. It's like they say that they give all their money back to society, but then like people profiting off of it through like the ways in which they give back to society. It's like we're going to build 10,000 houses, and like
wine
the,
tastes the
the
same
10
as I
million they spend on the
remember.
10,000 houses is given to like the developers, and the developers got the contract because they gave £1 million lobbying money to some fucking politician or something.
Fantastic.
So things like that, right? It's like faking like altruism.
One of my favorite pastimes. I feel like I stumbled over my words there.
Yeah.
Favorites, pastimes.
Last favorites. Yeah, it's all fucking shite.
Yeah, that's the impression I get.
I just fucking don't know.
I'm assuming this doesn't affect you very much, though. Personally?
No.
Emotionally.
Did it? No. Not really. It's
Had
like
no close encounters with it.
because for me, usually no. So I don't really know anyone. Well, no. I've known people that have kind of been in debt and stuff, but that's not because of gambling or anything. It's just like, they have trouble with their money or something. But
Bad life decisions.
yeah, stuff like that. I don't know. Because it's like, it's not something that I deal with. It's not something that anyone I know deals with. And then I don't have any impact on altering the rules of the country. You know what I mean? I'm not a politician or whatever. And so it's like
I don't politate.
it's my scope of influence isn't big enough to actually like do like or care about much. Because it's like, why waste my time thinking about shit that it's like I have no influence on.
Fair.
It's like I'd rather like do other things or like like I like to write stories, right? So then the stories themselves can be ways to affect people who like read the stories, but then it's
There are still so many places for us
it's
to
still
Don't
all
you feel
about
like-
making the story. It's not about actually changing, like
Don't you feel
setting
like
up
there
an
are things that you should care about, though?
It's not that I don't care about them, just that I just don't think about them. Or like do like so
Yeah,
much
but-
time thinking about.
That's sort of a measurement of it. Like, if it doesn't occupy your thoughts very much, then how much can you say that you care
Well,
about it?
nothing really occupies my mind very much.
Except the sick amount of pussy you get, am I right?
Hey, yeah, that does actually. That's like half of my thinking,
Just
which is like
vagina.
no, it's just like pursuing some kind of relationship with somebody,
Okay.
like wanting to date and things, which is kind of annoying. It's like I can't
What?
turn it
Chill?
off. Yeah,
What, do you feel like it's obsessive almost?
yeah.
Okay,
And
then.
it's like kind of, well, you get used to a certain amount, and then it's like it goes down, and you're like,
Oh my god, Isaac, are you a disgusting love addict?
yeah, I'm like a fucking sex addict.
Why are you formulating it so disgusting? You're a love addict, okay? Stop being so vulgar.
Yeah. Well, that is probably true because it's more that like I've actually
Romantic,
stopped.
some might say.
Yeah, I've stopped being interested in
Casual sex.
just like to a point where it's like
Good on you.
it's not. It's like I could have it, and
Yeah.
I choose not to because it's like
Oh la di da, look at
The
me.
s- the
I'm Isaac. I'm so
situation
cool and
is-
self-controlled.
yeah, but no, well, kind of. It's like but then because I don't do it,
Mhm.
it's like because to some degree it used to sort of chill me out or like meet the urges I had or whatever.
Mhm.
It's like now I'm not doing it. It's like
You're going
I
through
want-
withdrawal.
kind of, yeah, and it's like withdrawal, but then like it's like the same kind of like drive I have to like
Mhm.
have it is now on something that's like harder to get, which is like a relationship and long term, like a proper with
Women
someone.
always play hard to get.
Right. So, but then it also is based on like actually meeting and matching with people online and things. So it's like
Oh wait.
because there's
Speaking of hard to get, do you feel like that's a trope that's true these days?
what?
Like that the women aren't supposed to like act like they're interested in sex. I've heard that that's still a thing somewhere, and like that's just sort of funny to me.
Well, that's probably not relevant as much to me because of like where I go and like the people I meet with. It's like the clubs I go to. It's more like
you're
liberated,
right.
so
You
it's
would
not
be
really kind
exposed
of.
to that. Yeah.
But then it's there's still this aspect of, or it's like with pretty much like every single woman I've ever like been with at all, right? It's like there's always this aspect of like they want me to kind of like do things not exactly like without their permission, but it's like kind
This
of
is the first time the boss has taken me on an international work trip.
be this like kind of
I need to show some initiative.
I don't know how to describe it. It's not like dominant, it's more like
I think you need to start over anyway. I'm not sure I understand what we're talking about.
Osmanthus wine
Or what you were
tastes
trying to
the
build up
same
to.
as
so you were saying before about women like being hard to get, right?
Yeah.
And so like but then an aspect of that is like they're expecting you to read and understand what they want,
Yeah.
right? And so but the problem is
Like, I think that's a sort of a fair metric on that. Like,
but-
they're not supposed to do any pursuing, and you're supposed to do all the
but
hunting.
the
Like, that's
issue the issue exists is like they want to be pursued, right? And they want you to kind of
do the pursuing. That's why.
yeah, but they
Yeah.
like pretty much what I was trying to say before is like everyone I've ever known, it's like they like and want you to push the boundaries that they have, right?
Mhm.
But then that's the issue where it's like you're expected to push the boundaries and know when to do it and how much to push it.
You basically. Yeah, like sometimes it seems like you're expected to know what their boundaries are before you've done the exploring, and that's like really weird.
And then yeah, so that's so like if you're with someone where it's like you talk about it, right? And then you kind of you do it slowly, like you kind of understand because in terms of boundaries, right? A lot of there's certain feelings that they like to have that are caused by pushing the boundaries, but they can be different. So some are like they like to feel like like so they like to feel like used, right? So they like to feel like you don't care
Yes.
about them, right? And then others
Okay.
are like they like to feel like that you want them so much that you kind of like lose control and you just do like whatever you want to them. And there are others where it's like they like pain.
I've read some shit on that recently that I find to be kind of interesting, where supposedly people. What's the correct phrasing? Develop interests or likes when they're young based on what they're exposed to. This is like why you don't want to expose children to porn, because
Yeah.
it creates obvious issues.
Yeah.
And apparently what's like displayed for a lot of people, like obviously not not deliberately exposed to children or young people, but people get exposed to this anyway, is that they usually show sex that is like rougher than would be in a normal relationship, and then people develop fantasies around that shit.
Yep.
And if they were never exposed to those sort of ideas early on, they wouldn't. Seems to be the implication. I'm not sure how true that is, but
I had this. Well, not. I don't know if it'll be true or if it's like realistic. It's almost like so a lot of women. It's like they or I've dated or I see on dating apps where they talk about like what they want and things they like. It's like so they basically want you to be really rough, right? Or some kind of aspect of you showing some kind of dominance or physical strength or roughness or some kind of, like loss of control or like they lose some sort of control, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of, I don't, for whatever it all kind of has that element to it. But then they all want this, like this called like
Have you ever felt that? Have you ever wanted your lady who's like riding on top of you to reach over and bring over the strap on?
No, so like for me, it's like completely opposite. It's like it's like, but then what I was saying is they want aftercare afterwards. Like it's this term aftercare is like every single woman's profile, right? Because it's like they
The fact
basically
that it
want
even
you.
has a name is sort of weird to me.
It's like they want you to like use them and rough them up and like take control away from them. But then it's like
And then see if they're okay.
and yeah, like and then they want you to like look after them and hug them and be affectionate and talk to them and like make sure that they've like gotten through it fine. And so
Cool.
it's like, but then so it's
How
like
do you view that?
that's the thing. So for me, it's like the impression is that it's like almost the they don't
Ish.
even enjoy it to
But
some
they must
degree.
have it.
Yeah, it's like they like what they want. They simultaneously like it and don't like it. Or it's like they like the idea of it, but then also that it's like almost like it's acting. It's like temporary. It's like an experience because it's not the same of like say someone's being like actually like sexually assaulted or like raped or something. It's like it's not against their will. Like they want it to happen
Yeah.
and they enjoy that stuff, but they
That
want
was
to
like
know
one
that
of the.
it's gonna like end.
That was one of the things that was mentioned in the book I'm listening to. There was a woman who just said, like, I don't understand this dichotomy about I have this awareness of rape, and rape terrifies me. Like, I avoid going to certain areas because of shit like that, and I seem to avoid more areas than most. And yet I have rape fantasies. It's like,
Yeah.
okay.
So it's like, but then I don't ever feel that it's like I have that simultaneous
Dichotomy?
like, well, you can have fantasies of like you can get into like as a guy, like say you watch porn that's like rough, right?
Mm-hmm.
I never really watch it and think like I want to like rape somebody, right? I never have this feeling of like I want to do the bad things to them because I don't like them or I'm just like evil. I never have that. But it's always just like
Jesus Christ. I was on 4chan and I made the mistake of clicking on like a rape porn category or some shit like that, and I thought like, oh, this is probably just gonna be rough stuff. And then I saw something where I was like, this seems a little too real. I think I need to click out of this. And I wondered like, are there people in here? Fucking get off to that shit. That is disconcerting.
yeah, so it's but then a lot of it is more to do at it's like you look at it. It's not so
No, I
much to
couldn't. I had to go.
I don't know, but people it's like you're not looking at it as the act of like raping somebody. You're looking at it as like just sex and then like the positions they're in and like it's like the man being allowed to do what he wants, right? So it's not so much that like he likes that the woman isn't enjoying it. It's more that he likes that he can do what he wants, right? Because ideally, it's
Who
like
is he in this situation?
like any guy watching it,
Okay.
right? It's like because it's usually, especially from my perspective, right? It's like it's always kind of like because every woman kind of likes this loss of control and like you doing stuff to them.
Mm-hmm.
The whole interaction is basically like you almost like you showing some kind of like weird affection to them, right? It's like you lusting over them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's very limited them showing lust towards you, right?
Sure.
So it's like because it, so when guys look at this kind of like violent porn and stuff, it's because normally guys, if you're having sex like in with a partner, you're trying to like, well, for me, it's always I'm thinking about what she wants, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so like it never really comes up too much that it's like we're doing what I want, right?
Sure.
Because it's like for her, because everything she wants requires her to have no control. So there's no like aspect of her doing things to me, right? Because I'm in control and I'm like dominating or physically doing something to them. So it's like
Quadra kill.
it's like you can't. So it's not. So a guy can look at this rough stuff and he'd be like, he likes the idea of it because it's like imagining if I was a guy that would get what I want. It's
Yeah,
just
you wouldn't
seeing someone get what they want, not like physically hurting a
To me, it
woman.
makes more sense as a man, where it's just like, this is all about me. I don't have to focus on anything else. I'm good. I'm done.
That's it. Like I've never ever thought like that. It's like I've never ever gone in like slept with someone and like I'm just gonna use them and get
But
what I
like
want.
in the context of porn, like
Yeah.
at that point, it's like, what are you gonna do? Show concern for your penis? Give it aftercare?
Mm. But then look, yeah, like the one thing I think of is like I don't think I've ever asked it, but it's like what is it about like just sort of affectionate, romantic, like lovemaking that like they don't want? Like, is
Very
it
direct
boring?
question. I like it.
Is
Yeah.
it like boring or is it? It's for me, weirdly for me, it seems almost like it's more scary for them to do that than it is for like.
Oh, do you think it could be an intimacy issue? Is that what you're implying?
That's what I'm thinking. It's like they, or they're so used to kind of the guy doing what he wants, and like their lives are busy and rushed, and they're sort of in charge, and like they just kind of let go and don't do anything. It's like to be like equally intimate, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like physically show your interest in things. It's like that's too scary. It's like they don't know how it is to be like equally affectionate in that way. It's like it's purely like they don't like they have no experience or desire or like understanding of what it is to kind of like give the affection and like give the physical sort of lust because they've always it's just come at them. It's just like the guy
What
does
do
what
you
he
mean,
wants
like,
to me.
give the lust?
So
That phrasing was just pure poetry.
say for example you're like sleeping with somebody, and it's like
Why
normally
would I
say for
ever do
me.
that?
Oh yeah, true.
Yeah.
Okay. So if it's like the guy's in control always, it's like him on top or him putting you in positions and you just sort of do it
Oh,
or like
now we're
doing what he
talking.
tells you
Hell yeah.
and like all this stuff. But then if it's like romantic, like there's no like instruction from the other person. It's like it's you and them sort of interacting, almost like dancing. It's like
I also think there's no barrier. Like, it becomes. How do I put this? It becomes more emotional and more I don't know how to phrase it. Like basically more social if it's reciprocal,
Yeah.
and like if it's just one way, and it's just like purely focused on the orgasm part,
Yeah.
then it seems like it could be about a fear of intimacy.
That's exactly
Because
how
you
I feel.
can
It's like,
just put the focus on sex and it's not about anything else, and that can feel safer because there's no vulnerability emotionally. And this is actually oh yeah, again, the book that I'm reading at the moment. Like apparently people underestimate like how people's social interactions work. There is so much fight or flight responses when it comes to like pretty basic interaction because of the fear of shame.
yeah.
So like, and like fear of shame comes like shame and rejection like are pretty closely related. So like if you get rejected, you will most likely feel shame, and like being rejected emotionally probably feels worse than getting rejected just purely physically or sexually. I don't know. I'm doing a lot of guesswork here.
It's like, well, because it's almost like it becomes a activity you do together. It's like the sex is like an activity. It's not
fun,
like
it's fun to be bad at sex. It's not fun to be bad at a relationship.
yeah,
Or more
it's
fine,
like
whatever.
or it's like you can define.
But then there
it's
are
like
there are also people who like connect those two things, and like like if the sex is bad, people take that personally. I know that is a thing. I just don't know how prolific it is.
so it's just kind of like. But then you have this other.
Is that more common
element.
for men or women? Sorry, like I'm just thinking aloud here. Taking it personally if the sex is bad, like who?
Well, it's mostly the guys because it's that idea
but-
of the guy in charge.
Yeah, because that's what I'm thinking of. Like, the guy has to do everything. Therefore, he's the only one who's actually like, he's the only one performing. Therefore, his performance is the only one that can be measured.
Yeah,
But
that's exactly it.
there's also the aspect of it's easier for a man to reach orgasm. So if it doesn't happen, then like. The woman says like, "Oh, what am I like too ugly for you?" and shit like that. That is also something that happens.
Yeah, you can get that where it's like, so say the guy like can't get hard, right? It's like it's almost his fault a lot of the time, right? But then if he can, but then like can't come, then it's like her fault. In a weird way.
I think women can still take it personally if they can't even get erect.
Well, yeah, maybe.
Or maybe there's more understanding these days. I don't know. Like, I don't know how out of date some of my thoughts are because awareness has developed over the years, but I still feel like a lot of men have gotten sort of tucked in this aspect where
Well, like
awareness has been raised for a lot of things, very female centric.
Yeah, but then it's. What was I gonna say? It's like.
Go on.
Kept cutting me off, so I kept forgetting.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry.
Shit. Or do you go back on the stream? But
We're talking about the performance, but then I cut you off with that. What the fuck was it before? Who's affected more?
intimacy.
Intimacy, yeah.
I mean.
Fear of intimacy, being rejected due to sex is
Oh, yeah,
better
it's like-
than being rejected
like, it was
in
like the,
relationships. Yeah.
The roles are. It's like. So you get things where like women know it's like they want a guy to be in charge and they want like this and da 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 and things that they've had done to them and they like that. And so like they're reading off a list, right, of like acts, right? Like choking this, that, this position, saying this.
Choking this, that, and the other.
Yeah. But then
How many things are there to choke?
what? But then it's like if you ask them
The chicken?
why,
Yeah.
they don't know. So
Fair.
so for me, it's like a lot of the time when there's people I've met with, it's like we talk about sex and things. It's like me like almost like interrogating them, like
Okay.
because they're putting all this pressure on me to do everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like
For justice.
just if they give out a list of like physical acts that they like, right?
Mhm.
It's like that's not good enough. It's like because each act, it's like you're doing it for a specific reason. So like you're asking, okay, what is it about? Say they like getting slapped in the face, right? It's like why?
Stabilize.
It's like do you like do it like all the time, or like do you want it almost like a punishment or something, or do you like pain, or
No, my soul.
Is
Do you
it
like
actually
surprise?
the what's
you
it
like
called?
it-
The I was about to call it degeneration. That's not like how do the
like disrespect or something like?
yes, but there's a
wine
better term for that. And it's really annoying that I can't come. The humiliation.
Yeah.
Is that
so?
the-
Then
yeah.
that's another. So it's like, do they want me to hit them because it's like I want to hit them, or is it like? So it's like, what would be a reason that I would want to hit them?
Busted.
And so it's like, if they don't
I
do
mean,
what
look
they're
at
told,
them.
right? Or it's like they want to, but then also they're like, I want to feel. So you get some people where they have these weird combinations of things and they can't actually articulate like the reason. So
Why? Hmm.
there's one, for example, where it's like they like to feel. Someone I was with, they were like, they like to feel desired, right? Like
Disgusting.
that, like I'm like I really like I'm just like they're so attractive to me, right? But then they also like to feel like I'm gonna use them. Like they want to feel like I kind of don't care what they want. I'm just like doing what I want to them, right? So
a
like
very
linking,
specific way to be desired.
right? So it's like the idea of like I desire them
How
so
the
much. It's like I desire them so
do you
much that
think
I'm like
these women would
capturing.
complain about being objectified?
No, but I think it's like,
Because that's what they're asking for. But is it just in that context?
but it's more that they want this stuff from only from certain people. It's like they don't want it from everybody.
Wait, you're telling me I
Like-
get to objectify them?
So only
Fucking
the special
bitch.
people get picked up. Yeah. So it's like, okay, so they like being desired and they also like being used. So it's like, what's the combination? What's the like?
What's the Venn diagram here?
Yeah, it's like, they want me
How
to
much
like
of
them
one
so
compared to the other?
much that like I can't control myself and I'm just like doing what I want to them because it's like I'm so
just
attracted.
Did I?
foaming at the mouth, just like clubbing them over the
Yeah.
head, dragging them home by the hair, just. But
then it's like, it's
absolutely
not-
jackhammering them.
But then it's not like, it's not just that
Going
like
full
I'm doing.
caveman on them. Jesus
It's not
Christ,
that
yeah.
like, it's not just I'm doing what I want, because doing what you want could just be like just missionary position for like an hour, right?
Yeah.
But
Like
then,
sometimes that might be what you want, yeah.
but then it's like
With
using them.
intense eye contact.
But it's like using them to like almost like a, like, I don't know, if like dehumanizing. It's like
Yeah.
every position all over the place. Like
But it's not kind of funny. Like they want you to use them for self-gratification, but in a way where they feel like you're using them for self-gratification. Like they don't actually want. Like it's sort of contradictory.
yeah. So it's like they want you to like care about them and like desire them and like find them attractive, but then it's also they want you to kind of.
This is why women are gay, okay?
Yeah, it's like they want you to, like she wants me to kind of, like, see her as like an object, right?
Sure.
Because it's like, it's not just missionary position right now. It's like, use her, like she's like a sex toy, like just an object, like just like every position, regardless as filthy as you want, and it's like. So it's like the combination. It's like the reason. you want to like do all this horrible stuff to her is because it's like you like doing that to someone, and like she's super good looking, so you're like so happy to be able to do this to like someone who's really beautiful. So it's like, but it's like figuring
Don't
out
you
and
think
like
that some people develop really weird associations with love and relationship because of shit like that?
yeah. And then for me, it's just like when I'm doing that, when I'm like in that situation, like we're together,
Mm-hmm.
it's like I enjoy it, right? But then it's like it's
Then I feel hollow afterwards and cry on my dick.
no, it's not. It's not. It's more like I feel there's like
Not so much.
there's like no reciprocation. It's like
So
I
actually,
know.
you're the one who got used.
Yeah, basically.
The irony.
Time for takeoff.
But then it's like
Quietly now.
it's like what I would want is just like
Stabilize.
almost like nice romantic sex. And like loads and loads of affection all the time.
Never
it's
say
like-
it again. Yeah.
Right, exactly. So then it's like, but then does she hate that? Like, because when she wants to have sex, it's like, does she even want? Like, would she find that like unenjoyable?
I mean, would anyone? Yeah, that's what I thought.
So it's like, yeah, it's like bringing up the thing, because it's like she wants me to be completely in control, and then when the thing I want is almost like 50-50, and just like affection. It's like equally like the same way she wants to.
100.
Yeah. So, well, yeah. So equally the same way like she wants to feel desired. Like so do I. But it's like there's no way for her to show that, because if we're sleeping together, she takes no actions almost. It's like me doing everything.
Yeah, the quote-unquote submissiveness, which just comes across as laziness.
So she's just reacting to what I do. So there's no like, I don't feel her attraction to me because she takes no actions. She doesn't like touch me or do this or actively like want to do things. It's just like, do what you want. So it's like, so yeah, I don't know. I might have to bring it up. But then also,
With someone in particular, or just women in general?
pretty much women in general, I think, like, they're pretty much all the same. Like,
It's too prevalent.
it's like pretty much every single one. It's like
The same goddamn shit.
There might be different reasons, but it's literally like always like me in control. Like taking a level of control from them.
Every
Or
goddamn
like
time.
taking the actions. Like they are I'm doing actions, they're reacting. That's like how it is.
Sounds fantastic.
So it's like, but then that's what I found the issue of like if I then
shall
ask
we
for like then like
found the issue?
asking for some kind of like more equal thing, it's almost like it's asking for like more intimacy, which they might not want.
Too bad.
Because it's not just the same way in which
You're
we're
allowed
like,
to want things, Isaac.
I don't know, but it's like where it's like you just have sex with people and like you ask for the type of sex you want, but then if you ask for like I want romantic, intimate, affectionate, like sex, that it's not asking for. That's not a type of sex. That's just like being in a relationship. That's just like actually caring and liking somebody.
Yeah,
like
it's
wanting to be
disgusting,
with
isn't it?
So it's like you can't ask for it without asking for more. Like I could ask for like them to dominate me, but then it's like that. It kind of
That'd be
It's like you go
fan-fucking-tastic.
back and forth and stuff, but it's like it's like whenever you ask them, like, what do they like, they never bring up anything that's like, I like to be in charge, I like to be in charge, I like to do this to you, and like it's just always like this to me, this to me, this to me, this to me, this to me. It's purely like
And it's like, it's only receptive. It's not they have no activity in the situation. It's not
Yeah.
just going. It's all do this to me.
it's like their activity is like being compliant, or like not, like or like being able to tell me to stop at certain points when it's too much.
Yeah, does that do anything for you?
No, so it's like, and then I have these other thoughts where it's like,
No rest for the wicked.
if I, in like my ideal relationship, or like if I was with someone
As you
like I
wish,
liked and like I don't know, like married or I wanted to have kids with and it's like, what type of sex would I want to have with them, right? It's like, say it's a person that I like love them, right? Like, would I want to hit them and like choke them and
Absolutely.
be rough
Every
and
now
do all
and
this
then.
stuff? But it's like,
Illusion shattered.
it kind of, you have some rough aspects just because of like size and the, like, you know, you're the one thrusting, right? So then you
You're the
know
one
you
that
put
I
the
want.
power in. So it's like,
Ooh.
so it's like this, but then it's like hitting and choking, and it's kind of, how do I see those actions? Like at the moment, it's like I just see them as like something that someone else likes, and it's like a way of demonstrating an aspect of the scenario. It's like they like to feel like they're naughty, so then I hit them if they do something naughty. So it's like
Uh,
it's an aspect of the role, right? Of
yeah,
like
it's just
the role play.
the term naughty is just like it's something associated with children or fucking like.
Yeah. Well, like the other times is like it's more to like master and
Ew, that'd be
slave.
naughty. What are you gonna do?
It's more like slave not doing what they're
Daddy
told,
Isaac.
so you
Oh, yeah.
beat them,
Eh,
that sort of thing. Right? It's like I could say it like that.
sure.
So it's like, or like, it's the kind of, it's like I don't like that dynamic almost, because
Okay.
the thing, I don't like it, like for like a long-term relationship. I don't want that. I don't understand almost that, like,
So don't even want to humor it?
it's more that if it's like playful and if it's like fun and sort of back and forth and this, but for me it's almost this like their lack of action demonstrates, or it feels to me that their lack of desire. So it's like they don't desire me physically, they just want things done to them physically by somebody.
Hmm.
So it's like I fit some kind of role that they want in their life. But I'm not actually like a person to them. It's like
Seems a little
I'm
harsh.
just like a friend, but then we do other things together. They don't actually like,
You're a fucking accessory.
yeah, because to some degree it's like I should bring things up. I should say, I don't like this. I want this. I prefer that. Like, you know, I should put forward things that I want. But then
But
it's
Isaac,
like,
that would imply that you have you have a role in this relationship. I don't know.
yeah, there's just kind of, it's just sort of, you know.
No, I don't know. What, weird? Just weird?
Yeah, it's just these
Very
like weird
cool.
relationships. I think I have an issue with like not. It's like I want something like long term and serious and consistent.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like
I think you're allowed to want it.
I can't really anymore sort of. I can't really. If you're like pursuing something casual, or like say you're with someone and it's like you're not going in that direction, it's like I can no longer sort of
If you're
just
not sure what to
enjoy
do next,
that type of relationship.
It feels like you're wasting time on it.
That, or no, it's not so much that it's like wasting time on it, because it's like it's still like better than nothing to some degree, or it used to feel like that. But it's like,
Yeah, but it seems like you're feeling time pressure now.
yeah, well, it's more that it's almost like there's issues of like them withholding things from me. It's like they don't like me enough to actually have a relationship with me, or I'm withholding from them because I don't like them enough to have a relationship. I just want to like sleep with them still, and we're just like using each other.
Hmm. Yeah.
And so you're kind of like
Are you gonna break the cycle?
you're like you're in a relationship, but the whole time you're in it, you're thinking like this isn't this. I could have a better relationship. So when you're in the relationship,
Yeah, I can see how that
all
might
you're seeing is
poison
like what's
things.
missing. Like all you're seeing is what's missing.
Mhm.
You're like, we do all this, but then it's like we don't do this, and like we don't both want this for our lives, and we don't kind of think about this, and so you're just seeing like what could be. You're not actually enjoying
Yeah.
what you're doing. It's like you're just seeing what the potential
Yeah.
like could be.
That's one of the quickest ways to ruin the enjoyment of anything.
Yeah.
I think I've told you my mentality on certain things. Like, you should be a little future sighted. Like, if you know that you're going to continue this behavior, at least for a little while, then there's no point in like torturing yourself. Just like, then you should enjoy it. But
Yeah.
if you know that this is something that you want to change, then stop fucking around and change it.
Yeah.
But like, if you just kind of want to change it, but you're not going to, then all you're doing is like double fucking yourself.
Yeah. That's why I think it's
You're
like
not doing the thing that you technically want, and you're not enjoying the thing that you're doing. That is like the worst of both worlds.
yeah. And then it's like, and then I have like these sort of conflicting. You have all these like conflicting desires and things. It's like I want a serious relationship, but it's like I want to just sleep with like, every woman I see as well. So it's like, what the
Yeah,
fuck?
wouldn't that be nice?
So I'm like, what the hell is
But
going on?
Isaac,
It's
why
like,
not both?
exactly. Yeah. So I'm like, what the fuck?
Get an open relationship. There you go.
Yeah. There you go. As you do.
Just walk down the street looking like a pimp and casually say to everyone, "Hey, bitch, wanna have sex?"
Yeah.
Do you think you could get away with that?
What? Just going up to women and be like, I want to fuck you.
Yes. Do you think that could be successful to any degree?
If you're good looking.
So I'm fucked. You don't think there's any amount of charm you can turn on? You just have to be giggity Brad Pitt or...
If you're a gay guy, you could probably work. If you're with other gay, if you're like somewhere where there's other gay guys, then it'd be like, 'cause gay guys are just like, sure, let's like, because so I was at one of these parties, right, and I talked to a guy. He's like, he's gay, and like he had never been to
I'd assume based on context, yes.
these kind of he'd never been to like these sort of very social parties. He'd always been to like gay guy sort of events and stuff, right? And it's like how the like gay guys,
events.
like these club. It's like a club, and they have like dark rooms,
Mm-hmm.
Like, so how it works for gay guys is like you'll be in a club, you'll see a guy you want to fuck, and then you'll just like fuck him first, and then get to know them
Ask
afterwards.
questions later.
Yeah, it's like you like you sleep with them straight off, and then it's like if it's good,
How about I take you on a
then you
walk?
kind of
Then I might
see
get
it.
to know them.
Yeah, yeah. Then you get to but then like with women, it's like the other way around. It's like they have to like vet you and know who you are and what kind of feel comfortable
Boo.
and understand you, and then it's like
God,
dates
Isaac, why
and
won't you just be gay? Like, clearly this is the sort of lifestyle you're after.
right, exactly. But then I think it's also I don't know if it's similar. I don't think it's the same for lesbians. I think lesbians is similar to like men and women. It's like you have to know each other and feel comfortable and stuff. I think. I don't know. I haven't spoken to anybody.
I mean, you have different archetypes within these different
Yeah,
communities, so the fuck if
But
I
then
know.
but then this guy had been to loads of events before. Like they're all gay, set like gay men, and like every single one of them is like you just dance and then find someone you like the look of and like give each other the eye and just go and fuck each other and then talk afterwards. It's like
Step one is eye fucking each other.
yeah, exactly. And so it's like you going around to just random people and be like, "Hey, do you want to fuck?" to every woman you see on the street. It's just like
I mean, what could go wrong?
it's never gonna work. You'll probably get like reported to the police and then or like banned from if you're in a club. You'll just get kicked out and like nothing good will come of it really.
Not fuck it.
Unless you're a
I'm gonna walk
celebrity or
around with the camera
supermodel.
tomorrow and try this just to prove you wrong.
Good luck. Can't
Thank
wait.
you.
I'm like,
I
it
think
doesn't
I'll
bother-
need
like
it.
you do what you want. I don't mind. Fucking enjoy it.
But Isaac, my life might be at stake. Shouldn't you care a little bit?
Well, I've told you like what I told you what I think would happen. You're just not listening.
Wait. What
I
about
say it's
me?
a bad idea. I say it's a bad idea. But you can do what you want.
Oh, thank
Freedom.
you. Viva Las Vegas.
I don't know. But then for me,
Don't
it's
you
more
think
the
there are
issue.
parts of the world where people... I mean, you go to specific places for casual sex. It seems to be working out for you.
It's
You
not.
need
It's
to
not even. It's not for the
Yeah.
sex though. It's like. It's like.
I mean, the places seem to be built for casual sex, even if that's not your personal intention going in.
It's like kind
No?
of. Well, it's like high speed
The place is
relationship.
called... Actually, maybe we shouldn't talk that.
Like think of it like because say you're going in there, right? It's like you're half naked in there, so
I would never.
you skip. Like you already kind of physically attracted or not. It's like you already know if you like their body or not. So
I would never.
because they're at these type of events, they know that there's some level of like they're open to like dating and taking like sort of looking for something and willing to try things and open mind. So it's like people are more outgoing, I guess, and sort
Are
of
they?
comfortable. But then from everyone I've spoken to, most people I speak to, and like most people that go to these events, it's like the people that are sleeping together at these events already met each other or know each other previously.
Okay.
They don't like go there, meet someone on that day, then sleep with them on that day. That's like uncommon. It's like rare.
Okay.
So it's like, but then it's
That's not the impression I got.
no, I've said that before. But then it might be a case of say you meet them on the one week, and then the next week you go, then you might sleep with them. It's like very fast, kind of sort of getting to the sex rather than kind of going through all the kind of dates and things like that. It's kind of like very quick because you're basically trying to eliminate or quickly show your desires, interests, personality kind of things like very quickly. So you're kind of like speed running it.
Which is definitely what you want for a long-term relationship, trying to fucking speed run.
Well, it's not speed. It's not speed running in the sense that you're missing out on stuff. It's like you're just getting all the information you'd normally gather over like weeks of dating in like a few days or like 2 weeks or something. So it's just
Okay, you're not
more efficient.
You're not
I guess.
skipping anything. Okay, sure.
So
It's
that's
just-
so that yeah, it gives the impression of it being like just people doing that.
Like most speedrunning
randoms.
involves finding it takes
hacks.
tricks to skip around things. Yeah, like I wall hacked her womb. Now we have a
Yeah.
Oh, that's an epic gamer moment. Jesus Christ.
But
I
then
didn't
that
know where
is-
that was going before I finished my sentence. What the fuck?
But then that is almost what happens in terms because where people like talk
What
how
do you
the language
mean?
like not with the impregnating people.
Okay, thank fuck.
like-
Jesus.
Like tactics for like speed running.
Sorry, like, I just want you to imagine what I imagine, which is two people like sitting very close together on like a small table, like just looking at each other, like in a speed date scenario. Then like you pan the camera like down and under the table, you just see like one of them get jabbed with a syringe, and they just like shh, just let it happen. the pregnant the nest stay.
But it's like the tools for speedrunning. It's like the language people use when they talk.
Sure.
It's like I'm a dominant, polyamorous, straight.
I'm a pescatarian. Oh, marry me.
It's like I like this and that and this, and I want to do this, and I want long term, and I don't want kids, and it's like you're just you're like vomiting facts all over each other.
Oh, dude, is there anything hotter?
So it's like you're very quickly kind of getting across your preferences, I guess.
Okay.
And so then it's a lot easier to connect with people because there's like the barriers to connecting. We are like trying to judge and like, oh, will I like them? Will they like the same things as me? Whereas like you kind of throw everything at them. It's like, this is me. This is everything I want and like and think I'd like. And then they're just like, okay, yeah, I like that. And this is me. So you're kind of skipping all the trying to figure each other out sort of stuff.
Isn't that basically some of the shit that I've talked about before, where if you just have a level of bluntness and directness, you can get way faster through the conversations?
Yeah, that's what the atmosphere almost gives in a set, because it's like the conversations and the language you can use and the sort of like what you wear and the act of just being in a place like that. It's like,
Hey, by the way, if you look at the stream, this is an era that I really like. Check this shit out. Oh my god, what the fuck? Where am I? This is some fucking Dark Souls shit. I respect it.
yeah,
Welcome to the Underground City. Okay, anyway.
what does it remind me of?
I told you what it reminds you of. I get to decide that.
Look up at the light bit again.
The Lost City of Ikatosh.
I guess Dark Souls, but like a bit of like
I'm gonna call it a little golden bean.
Warcraft maybe. Or... Can't remember. What was I
Fine
thinking?
choice, Isaac. I respect it. But you're wrong.
Yeah. But anyway,
I mean, now I'm lost. Like, I remember what we were talking about until we extrapolated.
yeah, it's just about my problems.
Which seem never ending, Isaac.
Yeah.
Fucking women, am I right?
Off we go.
Yeah, it's just this kind of
Have you
like
described
weird.
your ideal wife beyond must like art?
It's not even art. It's like, well,
One man's stone is
I
another
guess-
I
man's
mean, that's like what you keep putting the examples back to, so it seems like it almost has to be. Like you say,
Okay,
a
I
level of open-mindedness, but
yeah, it's like
you
creative
almost
thinking.
always make the example about art, so...
It's like willingness to have or like willingness to like invest in conversations and like enjoy the conversations. But like, and the range of topics and what we discuss is like more. I don't know, not philosophical.
Ability
Like,
to explore topics.
yeah, but then also enjoy it as well. It's not just like they're good at it. It's like they want to have the conversation.
Ooh. Okay.
But then it's, I don't know. It's really hard to kind of
Gauge.
because there's an aspect of like what the kind of how things will be like long term or like
I
what
kind of just want you to describe a day in your life in this like ideal relationship. You wake up, you kiss your wife, she cooks you an omelette. I don't know.
no, so okay, so say it's like it's just me and a woman and like with no kids or anything, just me and her.
You chloroform her, go into the children's bedroom and choke them out
Yeah, sounds good.
and find a new family.
It'd just be like, okay, wake up together. Like we're sleeping in the same bed, and then like,
yeah, you
The-
hope.
well, you say that, but then there's like,
I know there are
weirdly-
some like platonic relationships that are real weird. Yeah.
but there's like a few people I know, which like my friends in London and stuff. It's like,
Honest,
They're like-
actually like I can't even make fun of this. I actually think I might end up
taste the same
in a relationship like that just because of how fucking horribly I sleep. Whereas like I
Yeah,
don't think they would be
I get
good
that.
for you because I would just fucking like roll around in bed and I'd probably end up waking you. Like there's no way that might work. Like
but that's what. But then I agree, like, because me, it's like I can't sleep with someone like all over me. It's like I need to be like
Stabilize.
lying on my back,
This
basically
is
like
order.
comfortable,
Okay.
right? So it's not so much that like I need them to be like lying on top of me the whole time. It's like I just like the idea that we can
No rest for the wicked.
like the ability for us to be physically intimate is like always there.
Wings of darkness.
Like there's no like
Come,
distance.
sever night from day.
It's like so we both woke like I like to cuddle and hug and sort of be affectionate when I'm like awake. So well, like when I'm trying to sleep and like I'm lying down and then there's like someone's just got their like leg on top of me. I can't
I
sleep.
think you're
It's
so
like
cute.
it's just like pressure on my leg and it's just like uncomfortable. So it's like
Why would they have their leg on you? But
well, just 'cause they like to touch like beyond me.
Oh.
They like they just like to spoon. But then it's like if
do
you're
you
the
prefer
big
being
spoon,
big spoon or little spoon?
yeah, big spoon. I tried little spoon. It's
course.
fucking weird.
Yeah.
But then like she was smaller than me, so it doesn't really work.
It's like you're trying to piggyback on me. This is weird.
Yeah, that's
This
why
is
it's just like you're
ghetto.
just you're just like a backpack or like something on me.
Fucking. Oh, brilliant! Yeah,
But then it's like,
I cackled like a maniac. Jesus.
but then it's also more comfortable being a little spoon because your arm, if you're lying on your side,
You mean big spoon?
no, little spoon, because if you're a big spoon, right,
Mhm.
the arm that you're lying on, you can't put it like out because their body's there.
Sorry, repeat
So
that.
it's so
Game
if you're the big spoon, okay, the
Uh-huh.
arm that you're lying on top of, like where do you put it?
I know, Isaac. You sneak it underneath them and then you grab their ass.
No, well, like anywhere you put it is like it's uncomfortable and like my arm goes dead because it's like either they're lying on it and it's like your arm goes dead because they're just lying on your arm for like hours, or
Yes.
it's like underneath you, but then it's dead again because you've got all your weight on it, or it's like straight sort of in between you and them, and again it's like being pressed and it's really uncomfortable and you can't move it and your arm goes dead again, so it's like you're fucked, right? So
Sure.
like when you're actually going to sleep, you need the distance, which most people know and have that anyway. That's why you have a big bed.
My solution is to like put the hand that or the arm that you're lying on, put the hand under your head, and then they sleep on your arm. But boom.
No, because it's like you've got pressure on your arm, so your arm goes dead. You can't have any weight on your arm.
Hasn't been that much of a problem, honestly, but okay.
Like,
or you have the pillow there as well. So you use that as a buffer.
But you can't move, like any kind of weight on your arm means it's like uncomfortable.
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
So like that's the issue, right? So
I'm just saying this gets you further away from most of the problems, but okay.
Yeah, but like for a time, and then it's like after an hour or like half an hour, you're just like, this is uncomfortable. I can't sleep. It's like what? Like there's like
just make sure she's so short she doesn't reach up to your arm. Then there.
Like the level of discomfort from that position is no longer balanced out by the enjoyment of being close to them.
Isaac, you're so evil. Of course
it just becomes discomfort. It doesn't. It's not like, oh, I love being near them. It's just all you feel is discomfort, and like they're the one that's causing me discomfort.
Isaac, that's the name of my new autobiography. All there is discomfort.
Yeah. So yeah, back to me describing a day in my life.
Sorry. Yeah. I can't.
Same bed. Same bed. Wake up. Shower together. Have breakfast together. Like get ready together. Like go to work. Like I don't think I'd want to work with my partner.
Okay.
Like I go to my job for whatever hours or something. And then come home, I don't know, like because I'm assuming I'm doing something I enjoy doing, like my job.
Now why would you ever do that?
Yeah, she has her job or whatever. Come home and then talk, have dinner, like just do activities together, or like kind of maybe we have like a bit of time on our own if we want to do like to say I want to like play games with you, and then she wants to talk to her friend on the phone or like read a book or something. Like a bit of time each, and then
have you had somebody who's really clingy? Like you feel like you can't have those things.
What do you mean?
And they want to do
I can't have
everything
my
together.
own time.
Oh,
no, I've never had a proper like.
There's no me time. There's our time.
I've never lived with somebody.
Yeah, but like you start a relationship and it's clearly heading in that direction.
No, I've never had I've never had a actual like
think of
girlfriend.
Love. Okay.
Which is kind of sad, but because that is what I would want. It's like I would want someone to be clingy. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
In a weird way, like. Because that's pretty much like how people have all these like fetishes and kinks and things they like. So I like it rough and I want this and that and da da da. Mine is
your fetish is clinginess.
Yeah, like my fetish is just like
women like Velcro.
Yeah, mine is just like affection, like desire to be with me and spend time with me.
That's the most disgusting thing I've ever heard.
I feel like most people that would scare them. They're like, I don't know, like because it's almost like.
I mean, we're talking about this. Some people seem to have.
It has to be genuine.
I'm sorry. What? What's the
It's like,
fake
if-
version of this?
Like if I say that like I like loads of attention from you, and then they don't feel that like desire to like be super like affectionate to me all the time, but they like force themselves to do it. Like they're just texting me all the time about boring shit, and like I can tell they don't enjoy it.
Okay.
But that just being a kind of like, because ideally for me, it's like I would want to live with somebody and like see them every day, like live with them, like every night go to sleep with them, wake up with them, that sort of thing.
Build your life around them.
Yeah. But then it's like, who wants that? Nobody.
Apparently.
Everyone just wants to be, or every woman, they just want to be like,
Ooh, look at me. I'm a woman.
it's like, it's for me, it's like, I get the impression it's like,
Yeah.
that like there's something about sex where it's like in a weird way, it seems like every woman I've slept with or every woman I know has had like a bad experience, and
May
like
knowledge
they're trying
guide you.
to kind of deal with it through like taking control of their sex life and sort
Ring
of
cutter.
trying to do the things that they fantasize about in like a safe way. But like the reason they kind of they've made some kind of link between it, like like it's weird how much like every single woman is always like, I want you to control me, and like do stuff to me that like I don't want you to do to me, or like that. It's like I want you to be rough and mean to me. It's like, why? Is it like because no one's ever mean to them and they just find it hot? Because everyone's so nice to them, but like they just kind of, it's fun when they're not. Someone is mean to them.
People are disgustingly nice. But like that is it feels like a form of masochism.
Yeah, but then I've heard people have described it where it's like they've had a bad experience, but then they want to
You
take
had a
control
bad
or like
experience.
ownership of it, or like they felt a loss of control from someone doing something they didn't want, and so by like reliving it, redoing it, or like doing it in a safe way, or in a way that's controlled and like by someone they trust, it's like it helps them get over that like bad feeling.
That's weird to me.
But it like, but it's
That doesn't sound like solving or dealing with the issue. That sounds like a coping mechanism.
yeah.
One man's
Because like
story
almost in the sense of
it
like,
doesn't seem healthy to me.
because yeah, that's what I think. Like it's almost as if it's like training. It's like if it happens again, I know how to deal with it.
Like, how to put this? This is basically like how serial killers seem to be developed, where something traumatic happens to them, and then they need to act it out on others.
But then for me, it's like it feels like where it's like they're like testing if they can go through it again, or like they can deal with it now. It's like they couldn't deal with it before, and so they do it again to like test themselves, to like
Sure.
to kind of like prove
One
to
more
themselves
generous
that they're
in
like,
interpretations, but sure.
yeah. So but it's weird how it's like every single woman. And it's not just
It's just no exception. Like this is just
Yeah.
how they are.
it's like it's not, and it's not all these women I've met at this specific place like that they're all of that type. It's like they're from all walks of life, all like some are different countries, places, like everywhere. They're like
This
very
pattern
different,
keeps showing up.
like the exact same. It's like in some way they want me to like physically control them or like do what I want to them.
Maybe it's just an intrinsic part of being a woman.
Thing, yeah, like maybe that's like in the same way that guys like to like, I don't know,
I don't know either.
fucking sort of like the same sex guys like to have, where it's just like loads of sex all the time. I don't know, maybe like that's just
Oh yeah.
something women like to feel
man's
weak, or
stone
always, well, like
is
my
another
impression might be
man's
almost that it's
gem.
like they like to know that the guy that is sleeping with them is like physically stronger than they are, and like
Sure.
more confident and forceful and I don't know, like
It's just
manly. So it's like proving it to them.
do you really need somebody to enact that power on you in order to verify it?
Well, again, like that's how it seems.
Yeah.
It's like proof. It's like,
And boy, did you need it.
yeah, I just don't get the kind of. But then some of them explain to me as like, this is the only kind of sex I enjoy. Like I don't enjoy other type, like, and so I'm like, like a lot of the time I just feel like I'm acting, and it's like,
You have to pretend like you're naked.
like, or it's like I get these kind of like power trips where it's like, I kind of get into it, and then,
And then you road rage.
but then yeah, but it's kind of like an experience. It's like
I
the
will
kind
have
of
order.
No, my sword.
you're like going with it. You're kind of letting go. You're like letting loose, sort of thing, and you're just kind of enjoying the situation. But it's not like
It's a
like
compromise.
a lot of it is almost like the novelty of it. Like if every time you slept with someone, it's like you had to pretend like
Solidify.
you were their like master and then they were like a slave every single time.
Rain outlines
It's
your
like
face.
like it's almost like, how does that not become a part of your relationship, where it's like they are kind of in like normal, like they want you to tell them what to do when you're going out for dinner and like everything.
Order
It's like
guide you.
they want that side of you. They want that to be a part of who you are almost, right? Not just when you sleep together. It's like they like that aspect of your behavior,
Wait, which aspect?
like slave master.
Ew.
So it's like if they enjoy it, so it's like, so say we're having an argument, and it's like I put my foot down and say, "You're doing it. Yeah, you're doing this. You're not doing that." It's like it's almost like they would want that,
Very
and
cool.
it's like, I don't know if I wouldn't want that in a relationship where it's like they're almost trying to get me to be like that. In a way.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like, I have a hard time being around people where they get me to act in a way where I feel like I have to behave as a worse person. That's just
Yeah.
like, even like, like I can do it as a joke, but like that's about the
Yeah.
extent of it.
Solidify.
Or it's like
No, my sword.
it's the idea of my like inherent like personality is like
Isaac, you don't have one.
I'm like affectionate, caring, like thoughtful, sort of.
Self-proclaimed by the ad.
Yeah. Like so in a way it's like I want to like
How do other people view you? Like, I think you told me actually that
yeah, I think they see me
do
as like a
view you
nice
this way.
person. Yeah, like
Big
and
teddy
so
bear.
it's like yeah, but then so it's like
I'm only
me
just like really nice.
me behaving like that is like not my
Wait,
personality. So like me behaving like a master, like a dominant, aggressive
that
person.
part, yeah. For a second, I thought you meant nice because that's the topic we were on at that point. I felt.
It's like so they know that
Treasure.
that isn't my
One way
personality,
to draw your
right?
target
So
on
it's
a
like
dragon.
it doesn't really. It
Do anything for
kind of
you?
fits with the idea that almost like they want to use me, because it's like they know I'm never really gonna hurt them because I'm not that evil person.
But
it's
that's
like,
when you prove them wrong, and then you win.
yeah, or it's like I've had people talk about like what they have. They have all these like fantasies, right? And it's like they'd almost like want me to pretend that like I'm gonna do horrible stuff to them, and I'd say it to them, right, as I'm like sleeping with fucking them. It's like
But then do
I'm
it
gonna
with a
do
cheeky grin,
this.
and it's just like, no, you need to be
Yeah,
authentic.
I'm gonna like drag you into like public and do something to you there, like
I'm gonna
fucking
do naughty things.
like
Ooh.
tie you up and do that, and like so they want me to tell them that I'm gonna do that to them, but then never do that stuff to them. It's like they want to feel like I'm in a position where I could do what I want to them, but then never do what I want to them.
So fucking weird to me, honestly. It's like, it's so specific.
Yeah.
And
That's
like,
where it comes. That's
it's
what I'm thinking.
so
It's like
specific and so contradictory at the same time. It's fucking.
right, but that's why for me it seems almost like it's like dealing with trauma. Like they're all kind of they have some this like unique
This many
trauma.
people be traumatized. You're
But that's,
telling
you
me
know,
this is like so consistent.
yeah, but then it's like almost you know how lots of women say like
No,
they've
my
had like
sword.
most women you
Let
ask
me
have
lead
said they've
you
had bad
here.
experiences
Fun is
with
over.
like guys and stuff and like
Gotcha.
growing up. But so like it's probably just it is very prevalent. We just don't know about it because women don't talk about it to us. It's like,
Maybe.
and so or like it's a very private thing that people don't talk about, and it's like because
Do you feel like that
As-
is a fair assumption?
I think maybe because it's like as a guy, you're never in a position really where you're
Because Isaac, it seems like you're telling me this is bordering to like 100%.
yeah, but then if you look at statistics, it's like it's almost correct. It's like
Okay, but then my
4 out of
question
5
becomes like,
women.
what kind of trauma are you
Unsolicited.
talking about?
And
Like,
all the
what do you
more
think these
valuable
women
for
actually
it.
go through?
Like so, I've had people tell me things,
Well,
and it's like, so it's like they kind of did go through stuff, right? So it's like a lot of them. Well, not all of them, but like a few, like most, well, not most, like a few of them. Like some of them are like split out, said the things that have happened to them, right? And it's like,
and then you're like, yeah, this adds up.
but then it's not. But then it's a lot of the time they're saying things. It's like some of the stuff they talk about happened somewhat recently, right? So it's not like it might have happened within the last few years, and they're my age. So it's not a case of like it's not like recent trauma has caused them to want this kind of stuff. It's like it's probably things in the past that have like made it like it's not. It's like more of or a consistent like treatment of them by people. So it's almost like a formative experience, like when they were younger or something. And it's like because they're all so like specific and like varied and sort of different, and but they all have this singular sort of overarching aspect of like control being taken away from them. So like it's trying to figure out, is that just what women like because it demonstrates to them that the guy they're with is like physically capable,
Maybe.
or is it like so many women suffer trauma? And
Yeah,
then
that's
it
basically
does
what I'm
actually,
asking you.
yeah, and it does almost seem to me that it's like most women suffer trauma.
It isn't that.
But it is.
Oh.
Because as a guy, you're never really put in a position that you can't walk away from. It's like if you're a guy like
physically, yes.
yes, exactly. So it's like the degree to which it's like guys have these similar desires. It's not really it'd be interesting for me. Like when I ask
Rain, outlines here.
straight guys, like when I'm sort of talking to other guys that I'm like like I know in these parties and events and stuff, it's like so many of them are just like, oh, I'm like sort of people pleaser, like I like to sort of do what other people like, and I'm straight and I like to be sort of
Wow, you fooled them, huh?
it's like I don't want they just don't like feeling lack of control, the guys. Not that they don't want like 50-50. It's just that they don't want to be like powerless, right? But then that isn't usually an option anyway. It's like if a woman is in charge or like dominant to you, you're basically letting her be dominant to you. She's not actually dominant. It's like
Sure,
you're
I
doing what
guess.
you're doing what she tells you, but you could just stop at any moment because she can't physically do anything to you.
Yeah.
So like,
Wait, sorry, like I just thought about something. I wonder if the point is that they're trying to be okay with not being in control because
Yeah.
they've had bad experiences with not being in control.
that's what the trauma is. It's like some level of like
Unsolicited, and all the more valuable for
loss of control, basically. And because it's like, but because that loss of control can be like experienced in so many different ways, it's like coerced into doing something physically, like forced, or feeling scared, or being like inarticulate, or like your first time ever sleeping with somebody and you don't know what's going on and you don't know what you should do, and like, and then feeling like, because you're in the presence of like a guy who's probably more physically capable than you're basically always giving up control as a woman, because like even in,
By the way, I remember having a conversation with Ben back in the day where like I basically used this as a measurement for submissiveness, like a willingness to accept like a more vulnerable position is like how I try to define it as like him and I think Will was in the conversation. We're just like not accept that definition. I was like, I don't even know how to. Like, there has to be a way of measuring this, and like you're giving me no fucking alternative. So it's just like, I don't know how to continue this conversation anymore.
yeah. So it's like women. It's like they know that they're going to be in a vulnerable situation, right? Regardless of whatever the situation is, even if they're like the most dominant woman in the world and they're with a guy, they're still putting themselves in a vulnerable position because the guy could, if he wanted to, do what he wanted, right? So the idea that all these women, they want very specific like ways of being controlled or physical acts done to them and stuff, it's like,
And because they're asking for it, like
yeah, they like want it and they say they like it and enjoy it, and they're like, they tell me that they enjoyed it and they want to do more of it and they want to try more stuff. It's like, what is driving that?
but because they're making that request, like there is way more control involved there. Like if they ask for it, then it's nowhere near the same situation. It's kind of weird.
It's like, it's weird how they never ask for like
Wouldn't gliding be faster?
romantic. They never ask for like nice, sort of fun, like, or like nice sort of romantic, just sex, like passionate sort of love making. It's always like,
Oh yeah, it's gay.
this position, that position, rough, this and that, hit me, call me that, do this to me, humiliate me, da.
Yeah.
Which is kind of. So then it's like,
Disappointing.
no, it's just,
Doesn't it also just get like a little bit old after a while?
yeah, like, because it's almost like the sex is like an activity, so it's not like a natural or like it's not like a component of the relationship where it's like you're doing it based on the circumstances you're in or the place you are or how you're feeling or like say you're like you've had really difficult time, right? And like your relationship or like shit has happened to your family or whatever. And like you want
Don't you just want to get choked out in those sort of situations, Isaac?
well some people might they might want to have romantic like feeling nice and safe and like sort of just intimacy, right?
Yeah, but what's safer than a man's big, strong hands around your neck, squeezing as tightly as they can?
But that's where it's like that's where I feel like it's become sex is like disconnected. It's like disconnected from someone.
Reality.
They're like their personality or their like physical existence. It's like sex is not. It's not something you do with another person. It's like an activity you do. It's not like an
Or
act.
sometimes
It's not like
something that happens to you.
It's not like kissing or like getting married or like having a kid or it's not a thing you do together. It's not like an extension of intimacy or love or anything. It's just like an activity. It's like going on a date. It's going to the cinema. It's like that level.
Okay.
And so then you just kind of get what you want from it, as long as like you could do it. You do it for the enjoyment of the act itself, not like you link no kind of intimacy or romance or personality to the sex at all. It's just like getting what you want from it. It's like you want sex. It's not that you want the other person.
Is another man's gem.
That's what it feels like.
Okay. So the result is a lack of emotional connection.
Yeah, it's like you kind of. It's like sex together is like it's not building or adding or. Sort
Okay,
of.
but Isaac, this place is like a visual metaphor of my sex life. It's just dry and dusty and
Empty.
some occasional
Boring.
oases of corruption.
Yikes.
And just a hint of fungus.
Yeah, just a possibility of fungus.
Yeah, like a fucking weather
So,
forecast.
what are you
Chance of
doing to
fungus.
fix it? Huh? What are you doing to fix it? Come on.
I'm adding
Okay.
fertilizer to the fungus.
What does that mean?
Fix it. This doesn't bother me. That's almost a
then
problem.
Yeah, well, you say it like you bring it up, like, "Hey, my sex life is a barren desert." It's like,
Yeah, because I think it's funny.
yeah,
What?
but it's like you would
No,
just think. Well, it's like,
it's too far for me or for you.
well, it just seems odd that you don't have any
What, care about-
desire for it.
Depends on how you want to define it.
Or it's almost like
I
you've
told
kind
you
of
that-
resigned yourself.
yeah, basically.
But then it's like, why
It
have you
doesn't-
like?
like, how to put, like, I think I told you this. Like, there's technically a bunch of shit that I find interesting. I think like, oh, this is technically worth exploring, but I just don't. It clearly doesn't interest me enough.
Take it easy.
No.
Do you worry that like almost like you're
This is
assuming you know what it's going to be?
Things are about to get dicey.
Mostly, yeah.
So, but then
It's like,
so for
it
me,
doesn't seem like something that would make a big difference in my life. It's not like I'd be like, yeah, oh, oh fuck no, a relationship. This seems awful. It's just like,
solidify.
I feel like there's something like it's kind of like
Brace
substitute. I
yourself.
feel like there's specific things I would need to get out of it, and it just seems pointless unless I got those things, and then I don't know the exact odds of me getting
Here we
those
go.
things, and then I question like, would I even want to spend my time pursuing these things? Like, no, it basically needs to fall directly in my lap, and I was like, okay, this works. And anything
Like-
outside of this is just like, nah, it's not worth pursuing. Fuck it.
so like as an example, like before
Certainly worth the extra money.
Like before
Like
you had like your niece, did you imagine your relationship with her would be what it is now? Or your feelings towards her, your thoughts about her, like your kind of relationship attachment, that kind of stuff. Like, is it what you like?
No, like
if
my
you-
view on that is actually more negative than my current view on relationships. I did not expect that shit at all. I was expecting to be like constantly annoyed of having to deal with a child long term. It's just like, I think it would get like too much for me, but it seems like being an uncle, like honestly, being a dad might be too much for me. That seems like more work because like you don't get to have an off day and then just like take a break.
Yeah.
Like you have to be there all the fucking time. That might actually just fucking break me.
But then like what I'm saying is, it's more that like you had ideas of what it'd be like, and then it actually happened, and it's like different from what you thought it would be.
Sure.
So it's like that same logic. Like for me, in terms of relationships and like dating and sex and all this stuff, it's like it's not at all how I imagined things would be. But it's like I don't regret any of it. I wouldn't sort of undo any of it. You know what I mean? It's like,
Good for you, buddy.
and it's just kind of, it feels too like an intrinsic part of life to like not even give it a shot, sort of thing.
Okay.
That's kind of what it feels. That's my opinion, basically. It's like it's worth attempting it, you know,
Yeah,
like
but
keep trying or be open to
Isaac,
it.
who?
What?
Who asked? I got him.
No, there's a meme about that recently, I saw.
A chest full of valuables. And a trove of potential clues.
You not seeming to pick up the direction this was heading in, and then you just like laughing once you realize it was just chef's kiss.
But it's like, it's more from my point of view, it's almost like, it's like, I feel like it would be disingenuous for me to say that, like, it's not something that's worth pursuing.
Okay.
Like,
But it seems like
it's like I
that's
feel like
kind-
you're missing out by not trying to, like, find someone.
Okay.
Osmanthus wine
But
tastes
I
the
don't
same
know
as
how much of that opinion is colored by your hopes for future prospects as opposed to everything that you've actually done so far. Because yeah, you said that you don't regret any of this, sure, but I'm sure some of this is colored by like what you hope the future to be, since you're pretty actively
Yeah.
pursuing it.
But then it's like things I want in the future. It's like they are. I've seen those things in relationships I've had, like different aspects of it and different people and things, or
all the
like
more valuable.
almost getting there, or like I would like dated someone for a few months and it was good, but then it like fell apart because sort of as we get to know each other a bit better, it's like personalities didn't sync as much as we thought. So it's like the things that I want in the future, like good conversation and waking up next to each other and caring about
There's
each other.
no
It's
way
like,
she could provide.
yeah. But then it's
Wow,
like
okay.
other people have, you know,
Other
or
people
like
have
to some
provided
degree, or where it's like they provided it almost like out of ignorance because it's like,
It's just who they are.
well, no, it's like you go into it kind of with all these ideas of who they are, and it's like you can be romantic and nice and in a relationship with someone and like treat them and be treated by them how you want to be treated, but then as you get to know them, it's like their personality affects how you treat each other.
Sure.
So it's like how I said that time where I was with someone and like we had a weekend together, but they like at the end of the weekend they told me all the things they didn't like that I was doing on the weekend. So from my impression, it was a great weekend because they never complained about anything already, you know. But at the end of the weekend, I realized that it was a bad weekend for them because they
At
were
the
just
weekend, you might say.
yeah. So it's like
Wait, what did they say? They had a bad weekend?
so we spent a weekend. I told you this before. Like we spent a weekend together, and all the little things that they didn't like,
They
they
just never
waited
expressed.
until it was. They just kept it until right at the end, and then they like dumped it all on me in one big go.
One man's
Like
stone.
I don't
is
like it when
another
you're
man's
affectionate in
gem.
public, but then they let me be affectionate in public all weekend.
Yeah.
So
Welcome
like
to
they're testing me in
communications.
some way. Right. So they have like really shit communication, and they just so it's like I enjoyed what we were doing together because I assumed that they liked it. So it's
Great,
like
yeah.
yeah. But then they turn out they hate it. So it's like, okay, well, what kind of person would do that? And it's like, why would I want to be with someone who's that kind of person who's like trying to test me and like lets me do horrible things, lets me do things that they don't like.
That is what she did? I don't understand.
Yeah,
What?
Because
why
she had
testing
this-
as opposed to anything else?
well, it's because she kind of almost said that. She
Okay.
almost like it's like
She wanted to see if you'd stop.
she wanted to see if I'd figure her out. You know how women are like, you kind of have to read them and that you should know what they want. It's like that. So it's like
It'd be so fucking funny to flip this power dynamic. Like, treat myself as a demure little flower that needs to be catered to at every turn, and fuck
Yeah.
you if you misread.
yep,
You should have known better. Just,
yeah,
uh,
it's just fucking
yeah,
Messy.
seems obnoxious to me. So when
yeah,
the
like
fuck do you put up with
it's just like building up like this feeling, and it's just like having these realizations. It's like, well, like the idea that like every woman I've been with, and like I've never been in a relationship where it felt like they desire me as much as I desire them, or like they don't show it, or they think that they're showing
doing
it.
it?
Like
Yeah.
how it's like I'm doing all the actions and they're reacting. Right? So, but then again, it's like I have this confusion of like maybe their way of showing the affection is different.
Hey Isaac, have you
It's
talked
like
about
maybe
love
I'm-
language?
Yeah, exactly. Maybe I'm not expressing enough that I like this, but then I remember specifically saying all the time, like when they're like, "Oh, what do you like?" And I'm like, "Physical touch all the time, loads of affection, loads of." It's like I just say that, and it's like, then they just don't act on it, and it's like, okay. Like I say it all the time, and it's like,
Stabilize.
You say
But
what
then
you
again-
want, and then you don't provide any of it.
kind of.
Wasn't that your point? I'm confused.
Yeah, that is, yeah. So it's kind of, yeah.
Great communication. Woo!
Hmm.
Oh my god, this place is a fucking maze.
I've work tomorrow, so I have to go. Bye.
Yeah, I
Bitch.
need to leave too, actually. Okay, but say goodbye to the stream, Isaac, because I'm about to hang up there.
Fuck GenChin. Fuck the viewers, okay?
That's a good note to end it on.
They can
Thank you.
all eat shit for watching this fucking garbage game, okay?
Where do you want to go next?
Well said.